They were like, shit.
Yeah. Okay.
Every 6 minutes?
Yeah, 6 minutes.
Welcome to SonarFeed! Episode 199.3. Jackets off with the Nerd Farmer in the house.
Excellent.
Let's go.
Good to have you back.
Yes, good to be back, man.
Last week we couldn't do
Yes.
an intro, so because I can't do that. There's no way I'm even going to remotely try that.
We are shocked.
I know. I've been practicing in the bathroom,
No,
but
you haven't.
No, not that. So, anyway, tonight we're joined by the one and only.
Yes.
Well, thank God, only one and only, by the way. 'Cause, the world couldn't handle more of this annoyingness.
We need more
More.
Nates.
Yeah, I was
We want
going to go for cloning.
more
Where's the
Nates.
clones? Where's the clones?
So Nate is joining us tonight.
Yes.
The 2015.
Let's go.
16.
16.
Sorry, 16 Teacher of the Year. Sorry. God, that was last year. I thought that was. Oh wow. Damn.
Reppin'. I love it.
The guy I was talking to my kids tonight about just like the Teacher of the Year, and my daughter goes, you're going to see Mr. J tonight? Because her teacher, she loves her teacher from 3rd grade, 4th grade, like one of the best teachers, but one of the best teachers in Washington State. You're joining us tonight, and it's our honor. I'm going to fangirl here probably all night long.
Yes, you will.
No, you're
Kind of like
I'm
I
not
did.
gonna allow that. I'm not going to allow that.
Kind of like I did when you were joining us in Toronto.
By the way, in Toronto, gentlemen, jackets off.
Jackets off. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
In fact, jacket drop.
Boom.
Oh, jackets
Damn.
drop. So
Man.
jackets off. It was cold. We'll talk about the story in a minute,
absolutely.
but we'll come back to that. But anyway, so welcome in, Nate. Thank you for joining us
My
tonight.
pleasure to be here. I'm really excited about it, honestly.
We're going to talk about the Sounders maybe a little bit. Talk about the Tacoma Stars. Probably a little. Like a little.
Un poco. I can deal.
Poco el
But-
español, eso.
I'm excited tonight because I have questions I want to ask that I think I have an opinion on, that I'm really curious to hear how wrong I am and or right maybe, and or how do we work together, because you're one of those guys that we've had a few conversations with that when you say something, I have a deep respect for it, and it means a lot to me to have someone like you here tonight to share that experience with the rest of us.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
So anyways, there you go. So my name is Aaron Riley, a.k.a. Sonar Riley. To my right,
Hugo Garcia, a.k.a. Mi Vida Seattle.
across from me over here,
Tom Biro, a.k.a. Bushi Huli.
and
Nate Bowling, teacher at Lincoln High School. Nate_Bowling on Twitter, and all around kind of mess in life sometimes.
mess in life sometimes. So we are at the Berliner Pub here tonight, 221
Yeah.
Main Street.
First time, great establishment.
Thank you for coming
Yeah.
in. Unfortunately,
Which
you did
we're
not.
happy the Berliner's open.
Yes, we are.
Yes.
Because many places are not.
It's warm. The beer's
I'm
good.
sweating.
And the beer's cold. Unfortunately, the food's not, because there's no food tonight.
Toddies are warm.
So we actually have one of our local friends here going to get us some pizza tonight, so we can enjoy pizza on the air in a little bit here.
I mean, could
as
go
we get
worse
going.
than pizza and beer.
I don't know
No.
how it happened, but I did wear the pizza
That worked out.
Nice.
Worked out pretty nicely.
That's perfect.
Pizza is my anti-drug.
Yeah.
Well
That's
done.
awesome.
Yeah.
This is only the second
question.
episode I've ever been on that I have not worn a hat or worn.
Is that really true?
True, for
Well,
real.
and
dude,
by the
for
way,
real.
well-pressed
Yeah.
shirt. Like
Thank you.
visible
Thank you.
crease.
Yeah.
Well done.
Oh,
Yes.
the-
cufflinks.
Oh,
Cufflinks.
whoa.
Go ahead,
Shit,
sir.
Mickey
Go ahead,
Mouse.
sir.
Cufflinks, no less. I'm a Mickey Mouse fan. I would show you my watch with Mickey Mouse, but unfortunately it just died before the show. But the good thing about not charging your iWatch, your Apple Watch. So Yeah, you want to show them for me with yours? Anyways, so you, I don't know. I just, yes, thank you for coming. I love it.
Honestly, I'm really excited about this.
So let's go. Let's just dive right in. Let's tell us a little bit about who you are.
Start from the beginning.
Yeah,
Right.
Ross
Right
Fletcher.
Right up her.
Ross Fletcher. Yeah, so this is my normal Mickey Mouse watch face that I wear.
Nice.
Ross Fletcher went back to birth. You don't have to go that far if you don't want to.
Yeah.
But feel free
If you
to.
can top that, though,
Impressive. Impressive.
Well, no, my story's not uncomplicated. Like, my parents are both from the South, and so like that kind of frames my world in a lot of ways.
Okay.
I grew up in Tacoma. Honestly, my soccer story is more interesting than my life story. Like, I've been a lifelong soccer fan, but like not as huge as now, right? Like,
How? How did that? Because that's not about. Is it a bad assumption to say the South's not very big into soccer?
Well, no. So my parents are from the South, but I grew up in Tacoma, right?
Okay.
And so like I played like really terrible soccer for the boys club. Like, I was not impressive at all. And in fact, my coach was always like, "Take your hands out your pockets." I'm like, "It's cold. Like, what do you want from me?" And I remember like being a kid and going to Stars games at the Tacoma Dome, and like that's my first like formative soccer memory. Like, I remember watching Preki and all that.
awesome.
And then
Wow.
grew up and lived in Tacoma most of my life, and then fell in love with the game, and my love for the game has grown. And it's interesting because like teaching kind of parallels my love of soccer. The Sounders started when I was at my first teaching job, and I remember like it was a big leap getting season tickets because like I was like a second year teacher, like the money wasn't that good, but it was a great investment. And like as I've kind of like grown and become a traveler, I catch games whenever possible. My wife and I saw games in 4 countries this year.
Wow.
So we saw Fortuna Dusseldorf against Stuttgart. We saw Porto play against Villarreal, and then obviously a game in Toronto, and then a ton of Sounders games. And I don't know. I love the game. I love the game. And like, so when I tell people who I am, I'm basically like books, politics, soccer, and travel.
Let's go.
Damn.
I
So
love
you
it.
just like described all of us right here. I mean, that's a lot. I mean, I don't want to speak for you
Yeah.
guys, but I mean that's
and
kind
maybe
of
why we like.
Well,
Twitter
except
get
for
along.
Mark.
These
So-
are the best things in life, honestly.
are.
Like a soccer game
kind of more so
exposes
the
you.
wine, though.
Well, it's up there, right? Right.
Booze
A
overall?
soccer game exposes you for like the person you are. Like,
For real.
there's
For real.
moments of desperation
is.
during games
So
where
true,
you're
man.
groveling with God and you're like, I just need a goal, right? And there's
been
other
there.
times where like it's
Been
pure
there.
elation and like like crowd behavior, like that moment of being in a crowd is one of my favorite things. And I love that moment, like when you come into a stadium and like you crest the you crest the stairs and you can hear everything before you see it.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I would trade my soul to have that moment all the time. I love the
that
game.
walk out of the the aisles,
Yeah.
getting into the section, and 121 is usually where I go at. So that little aisle, getting
Yeah.
into it, and you see the city skyline,
Yep.
and the green just comes out. It's
Yeah.
like, let's go.
Well, my wife and I were in Germany this year, right? And like the Esprit Arena, like a German crowd is something special.
Yeah.
And there's that like also that indistinguishable. I can't understand a word of this, but like I understand the rhythmic grunting of it.
Yeah.
That is just a beautiful, beautiful thing.
So you saw Dortmund there? Or?
No, Dusseldorf.
Dusseldorf. I'm sorry, Fortuna Dusseldorf. Okay,
Yeah.
because I spent a month over in that region.
Yeah.
And Dusseldorf was where I was at for my conference.
Yeah.
I didn't get a chance to catch a game, but
And
man,
by the way,
fans,
they come out to O Fortuna.
Yeah.
So it's just like so much epic. Just
Yeah.
like,
Oh, but the fans marching in for that matches. We
gotta
were at a
catch a game
conference,
in
and
Germany.
I was a soccer fan, so I knew there was a match that day. All the printers that were there
Yeah.
for this conference, they all were like, "Are we gonna die?" 'Cause, I mean, they marched through the streets, and it's amazing. Oh, that's awesome.
We'll tell the story later on, but we were leaving the game on the subway, and like my wife and I got separated, and so like there's like a German officer screaming at us as we get on the train, and like all sorts. Exactly, that face is right, right? I'm like historical flashback, and like her leg got slammed in a gate, but later.
Okay. All right. So this is your life. This is who you are.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and just so I've been teaching at Lincoln High School for the last 8 years.
Yep.
And Lincoln High School is a really amazing school. It's been open for over 100 years.
Okay.
It's this beautiful like Gothic building that looks like it's torn out of a Harry Potter novel.
And where is it exactly?
Up
For
on
people who
in
don't
the
know?
east side of Tacoma.
Okay.
Okay.
And what I love about the school is it's an integrated school. So like basically my kids are 20, 20, 20, 20, 20, 20% white, 20% black, 20% Hispanic, not 20 years old.
Yeah, we got hecklers
Right.
here tonight at SonarFeed.
20% Asian, mostly Cambodian, Vietnamese, and then 20% other, which is like Native American, mixed race, and Islander.
Interesting.
And like that mix is phenomenal because like my classroom looks like America's gonna look in 100 years.
That sounds like my high school.
Is that
Yeah,
that's?
right?
Oh,
I went to high school in White Center, Evergreen, and that's pretty much
Yep.
how it was.
Yeah.
But you're saying that's a 20%, like that's the
A mandate?
like, a mandate.
That's a
Thank
rule
you.
for-
Well, no, that's not mandated at all. That's
Just how it worked out.
That's just how it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and here's the thing is so my school is 80% brown in a state that's 80% white. And so there's a whole lot of like housing segregation and American history and like real estate practices and everything kind of rolled in there. And so it creates kind of an amazing community, honestly.
Yeah.
How's the soccer team there? Oh, okay. All right.
Well, here's what happens, right? Is like we have a couple of kids that play club, and then we have some kids who are like African immigrants, right? Who play,
Yeah.
and then the team's mainly Mexican kids who have like club commitments as well. And so it's like, well, I don't play with him because he plays for that team, and da da da. I'm only gonna pass to the. We have a great coach. We do all right. I would say this, like. The other high school soccer teams in the area aren't high school teams. They're all the kids from the club from the suburbs.
All right.
Yep.
So we're the best like actual high school
school
team.
team, gotcha.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. I know. Isn't that where some movie in the '90s got filmed there?
No, they filmed that at Stadium High School,
Stadium
which is
High
down the road.
School,
Yeah.
Oh, was
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, that's our rival, but whatever. They
Gotcha.
stink.
But that was a good movie though.
Yeah.
It was a good movie.
Yes. Yes.
That's
10
it?
Things I Hate About You.
Yeah, 10 Things I Hate About You. It's a good movie though.
Is it?
Yeah, good music in that movie.
was
Good
funny.
movie. Yeah.
That's a funny movie.
I'm not gonna lie, I like that movie.
'90s movie. I like it. I'm
Yeah.
a fan.
All right. So you're a professor. I almost said a professor, but you should be.
I'll take professor, whatever, that's fine.
So what do you teach then?
I teach AP Government and Politics, which is fascinating right now.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And then AP Human Geography.
Are you busy?
Like, honestly, like it's such a joy to teach. Like the moment is so fraught that I just walk in and like it's restraining them half the time. It's like provocative question. Here's some data. Conversation. Okay, let's write and reflect. And, like I don't want the legislature to hear this, but like I would do this job for like way less than I get right now because it's so dope. Like it's so much fun to have a formative role in how young people's understanding of the world is shaped, and to be the first person to talk to somebody about like what globalization is or what representation means. Like
Man.
it is
I
an
envy
amazing.
these kids because I didn't have that in high school,
Yeah.
man. I didn't get taught. There was no. I don't remember having civics, and I should.
Well, and that's the thing for me is that like I slid through high school with decent grades, and I just want my kids. I want to be for my kids the teacher I wish I would have had. And that's not throwing shade at my teachers. Like I had great teachers, but like I want my class to be relevant, engaging, and meaningful. Here's the thing: if my kids didn't have to go, would they still show up? If the answer is yes, I'm doing the job right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I follow your alternate ego on Twitter.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what happened
didn't
one day
even
you
know you had
retweeted
an
it.
alternate ego,
Yeah.
man.
And it's interesting to
I'm
watch
out the
that.
loop.
And to like last week, I actually took a screenshot of it. I'm going to find it in a minute here.
Sure.
But it's interesting to watch that because you definitely do a great job of engaging, and the engagement on there, even on Twitter,
Yeah.
is pretty strong, which is nice.
Well, they're digital natives, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, I can put an article out from the National Journal or the Atlantic magazine at 6 p.m. and then have them read it that evening. And by the way, if your kids are reading the Atlantic at 6 p.m., you've won the day already.
Yeah, you have.
Right? And
Dude,
so
I
then,
didn't even know what Atlantic was in high school, bro. Like
facts
seriously.
only. Facts only, right? So then they come in the next day, and we don't start at 0. We start here, and the conversation's just going,
boom,
right?
boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
And my kids are super motivated, and we talk a lot about political efficacy and the idea that like your views matter and local politics matters, and they're super engaged. And here's the thing for me is my school serves the lowest voter turnout precincts in the state, right? And so like that's my mission. How do I flip that?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So the 27th, my kids come from the poorest parts of the 27th and 29th. If we're going to turn that around in that community, like it's going to take some political activism, and like that's my goal for the
For
community.
them to be comfortable
Right.
and understanding it.
Yeah.
That alone will get them to
Absolutely.
do it.
So this was a great tweet you had about a week ago.
Okay.
If you are in my seminar and don't have these signed off by the end of class tomorrow, you're going to forfeit your semester credit, which I'm sure you talked about repeatedly.
Absolutely.
Then the next day, 24 hours to the minute, it said seminar grades are finaled. 4 of you did not do it.
Yeah.
It's interesting because that holding them accountable at that age is critical, I think, to this how they're going to be successful going forward. That's how we parent. But it's fun to see that. Like, I'm not gonna lie.
Concrete example.
Yeah.
So the seminar is like an advisory class, right? So like my job is to give them like mentorship on like college applications and whatever. The last 3 years running, 100% of my kids, either a 4-year, 2-year, voc school, or enlistment. 100%.
Wow.
Let's go.
But why? Because there's no other choice, right? Like if you don't do the job, like I'm going to be on you.
Yeah.
And like who wants to have an unpleasant experience with a 200-pound black guy with a giant beard? Like, and so like my goal basically is I want
I'm
for
quoting you on that.
quote away. I want for the penalty or like the consequence of not doing as expected to be worse than the joy you get from like doing the job. And so
Yeah.
it's like we celebrate success, right? It's like I have a girl who has I don't want to out her whole business. So I have a couple of young ladies who have interesting documentation things going on.
Yep.
And one of the young ladies has had interviews at multiple Ivy League schools. Like, that's what I'm talking about, right?
That's
like the purpose of teaching should be to transform lives. If I'm not going to go on a rant here, but like, there's some people going to teaching because they like kids, right? I don't really enjoy kids, right? But I love transferring knowledge. I love watching kids grow, right? And that's the farmer thing, right? Like, I don't. If I forget a fork, I'm like, can you go to the cafeteria and grab a fork? Because I can't go in there, right? I can't mess with it. But like for me, it's an intellectual endeavor. It's a cognitive endeavor. And so like I'm cultivating and trying to grow young intellectuals. Like I live in the neighborhood that I teach. Mm-hmm. I'm teaching my neighbors, right? Like I want the east side of Tacoma to be in a developed neighborhood that is open for business and that attracts businesses and attracts people. And the other thing is, as rents rise in Tacoma and like gentrification comes in, I want my kids to be able to afford to stay in their own damn neighborhood, right? And so that's the work.
So here's a question. We're gonna do a
sure.
little break here. Not a break, but does anyone want pizza? I think we're being offered.
Is that the question?
Yeah.
Who says no to that?
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. So we'll get some pizza here. We're gonna eat on the air because tonight there's no food being served, so we couldn't eat before. But that's.
I'm just gonna sip my water on camera really fast.
Please do. Please sip your water. Let's do this while we're waiting for some pizza to come in. I want to come back. I want to come back. You know, it really is water.
Water.
It is water. It really is water.
Don't listen to them.
Yeah.
They know.
Yeah. I want to come back to Tacoma and schools because I want to focus on that for the majority of the show.
Sure.
And politics and et cetera. Let's go back to soccer for a moment here. Okay, let's just talk soccer.
You see the smile, by the way?
Let me ask you a quick question on that. Is it harder to transfer that knowledge to high school students or to transfer the knowledge of how amazing soccer is to American football fans?
I was going to hit you for asking a bad question, but that was a great question, actually. I like that.
Which one's
Well,
harder?
you remember on Twitter a few years ago the free beer movement?
Oh, yeah.
Like, I fundamentally believe like the best way to get somebody to love soccer is drag them to a game. Whatever happened? I have no idea.
It's still kind of a thing. The guy works for AO.
Okay.
But
So
It like disappeared.
yeah.
I don't push the game. What I do though is so then and you and I can disagree on this.
Yeah.
The first time I went to Mexico City, I went to a game at Azteca, right? And so I'm a Club America fan, and so. Thank you.
No, get out of here.
In my
It
classroom,
was nice to have you. Thank you for coming. That was a great show. Everybody thank Nate, please. Everybody thank Nate.
in my classroom, there's a giant Club America flag. In my classroom, there's a Cuauhtémoc Blanco jersey. In my classroom, there's a pennant that I got, right? But no, that's a cultural point for the kids, right? Because all my kids are Chivas fans. So automatically, teaching's relational, right? So automatically, banter point. I'm like, oh, Chivas. So you won't see a lot of my personal life on my classroom Twitter feed unless it's watching the Mexican soccer playoffs. And then I'm just yammering along, man. And I will troll kids because like kids buy into you before the content.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And so for me, it's like, that's a point of banter connection. I love it.
Select a pizza.
This one.
Okay.
The pizza looking one.
Right.
Yeah, the pizza-looking one. Okay, so soccer. Let's talk about soccer here. Brendan had a question here. The most...
Is this Brendan Vaughn?
Brendan Vaughn. Yeah, being Vaughn. Yep.
Very serious Brendan Vaughn, yes.
Yes.
Wait, is this about travel or about airline
It's about
miles?
experience.
It's actually...
Damn.
He knows his people. He knows
Yeah,
his people.
anything, yeah. What's
love you,
the
Brendan.
most impressive stadium moment outside of a Sounders match that you've had? And then dive into that.
Ooh.
He saw Placido Domingo sang before...
At the Bernabeu?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, yeah. Hearing 90,000 people sing along was, transcendent, is what he said.
Yeah.
So, like, how about for you? Like, what...
Man, there's been a lot. I would say the first time at Azteca, like, when that stadium is full, a little dodgy, there's the guy with the nacho backpack. They're selling...
right.
Yes.
I'm like, are you selling me nachos out of a backpack? Yes, sir.
Do they sell top ramen there?
Yep.
Cup of noodle.
Yeah, there's the
cup of
guy
noodle.
selling you like 2 Coronas for 6 pesos or 60 pesos, whatever the conversion rate is. That was
buy it.
amazing. I don't know. It's either that or in Porto this year.
Okay.
The Porto fans, like we were sitting basically like right behind the supporter section to the left, and like it did not stop at all. And there was a play where like, I think it was Corona. Yeah, Corona got away on a breakaway, and I've never heard anything louder in my entire life. Like it was like ears ringing, and they were in front of us, right?
Yep.
So from behind, my ears were ringing, and there's nothing better, man.
Wow. They were in front of you, and that sound
Yes.
resonated so much.
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
wow.
Well, and the other thing that's really funny is like, so Portugal's economy is kind of a mess, right? So like young dudes are kind of unemployed, and so nobody's. So my wife jokes about Sounders fans. They're like all programmers, so they all look like me or worse. Like all the Portugal fans in Porto, they're ripped, and it's just like 4,000 ripped, beard up dudes, all built like Ronaldo, just going crazy for 3 hours.
That visual.
So when the supporter section calls the players over to take their jerseys off their backs, they do it.
Okay, like I'm straight, and I was looking like, dang, like that's a handsome man, like.
Times 4,000.
Right, and my wife's just staring, and I'm like, "Can you stop?" And she's like, and she's
What?
Like, she's like, "No." Yeah. Fair enough.
And then you
fair
realize
enough.
you were staring as well. And then,
No, but that's a really cool part. The fact that I've been able to share that travel, right? Like we whenever we're someplace, we hit the museum and the soccer stadium, and like it's glorious.
That's awesome. Sarah McNally,
Yeah.
the wonderful owner of Constellation Company,
Yeah.
which, by the way, thank you, Sarah, for being an awesome helper for SonarFeed over the years. Make ECS
Yes,
ripped
ripped
again.
Wait, was ECS ever actually ripped?
I was going to say.
I'm going to go with no.
Yeah, I'm going to go with no as well.
No, the funny thing is that like, so this is what our 9th year now.
Yeah.
So we were all in our 20s when this got started, and
Yeah.
looking a little. Well, some of us were in our 20s. Sorry.
Not me.
Fine. We were in our 20s or early 30s, right?
Yes.
And it's kind of awesome, like watching us grow as an organization and also grow as people. Like, there are far, far fewer abs there used to be.
I saw some videos over the weekend.
Yeah.
My trip to LA, the 4-0 playoff loss.
That one when I met you for the first time.
And
Yeah.
I was like,
Wait,
oh
y'all
my
met in LA?
God.
That's weird.
That's
because-
where we met in
yes,
LA.
also in LA.
Yeah.
Which
I think
that, yeah.
I met you at the Yakton.
Yeah.
The first
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can't remember where I met Tom. Where did we meet first, Tom?
Probably in the section.
Section.
Actually, we
Yeah.
might have met at a bar.
Well, the
'Cause I
other
think
thing,
we
though-
we were both speaking Spanish.
The
Yeah.
other thing that's awesome about like being in the section is it's like watching people's kids who were like this tall in 09.
Yeah, like,
and they're
really.
like driving now. I'm like, how is that?
Stephen
my
Agan.
God, Like Mark. Adam just said
Stephen
like
Agan
Mark.
was in like the capos in training.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is now like post editor.
Right.
Well, it's not going to be like this, right? Like, I was saying this earlier on to somebody, like, this is special.
Yeah.
Like the fact that, you can get the players to sit down here in
Yep.
this pub
Oh,
and
yeah,
have
dude.
conversations.
Yeah.
Like the fact that like Steve Zakawani replies to stuff on Twitter.
Yep.
Like it's not going to be like this.
That's what
Not
we've been
forever.
saying, man. Like it's
Yeah.
just like the golden. I imagine this is what the NBA was in the 70s.
Yeah.
Yes.
Where the players hang out with the fans
Yep.
at pubs,
Yep.
at bars. And
Some of this is Seattle, though, because I do find we
Yes,
talked about this.
we did.
Except for really the NFL, and then like your Robinson Cano level players on the Mariners. I mean, if you live downtown or you know people that know players, like you bump into them in a restaurant,
exactly.
and they talk to you.
Yeah.
So I do think some of that is a little bit of current Seattle. So maybe
Yes.
that's what it is. Is it's like current Seattle, not just Sounders.
Yep.
But we know we're not going to have this forever.
Yeah.
No,
So-
no, exactly, and that's so. My wife was pregnant with my son at the first game, which we didn't know at the time, but we found out.
So when you
shortly
guys
after.
smashed beers.
Well, the lines in the bathroom maybe would have been a bad idea, but no, I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. But
don't chew on the microphone.
yeah, no, you're fine. Don't worry about it. You're fine, Nate. But yeah, so it's interesting
we
to
can
watch.
talk and let Nate eat.
Yeah, totally. We can totally let you eat your food for a moment here if you want.
No, you're fine, you're
Okay,
fine.
so you so you were like I said you're talking about growing up. How long are you a season ticket holder at the Sounders?
Yeah.
currently?
Oh, yeah.
And how long did you say?
Since the beginning.
Since the beginning.
Yeah.
Okay. But you're also and you also go to the Stars games
So-
the rebirth of the Stars.
So I went to some Stars games in the Dome back in the day.
Yep.
I'm not gonna lie and say I went to all of them. I went to like 4 or 5, but like I was 6 and they were amazing. When the Stars came back, I was in, and I took my wife to the game, and like we all are pretenders living in Casey Catherway's world.
Yes.
Like Casey is the modern P.T. Barnum. And like
Yes,
that
that's a
man,
great way.
like
Wow,
that man is.
that's a great way to put it,
Okay,
yeah.
somebody brilliant tweeted yesterday that T-Mobile commercial with Bieber was an off-brand.
Was that Lisa? Was it you, Lisa? No. Casey?
But like Casey is a force of nature, and like Perry the Peanut
Yeah.
is some of the most amazing performance
Yeah.
art going right now.
Yep.
No
And
question.
wait, have you been this season?
No question.
Shy Egg.
Yeah, oh my God.
Oh, sweet baby Jesus.
Yeah.
Shy Egg's
Yeah.
amazing, right? And so the Stars experience, it's totally different than the Sounders experience.
Yep.
But I'm not gonna lie. When the Sounders were garbage, I was enjoying the Stars games a little bit more. I'm like,
Yeah,
hey,
right.
I'll see 10 goals at least, and
Yeah.
they're probably gonna
Yeah.
win.
Yeah. exactly. No,
I
absolutely.
knew when I took my dad and he liked it that it was legit. Like,
Yep.
Because my dad's classic soccer,
Yeah.
traditional. Like for him to like it after one game was like, man, this is fun. This is good soccer. This is fun. I was like, I totally thought I would have to like convince him and plead him to come back or do this. Nah, man, he was a fan, so I was like, yeah, they're doing something right. When they can reach a 65, 66-year-old Mexican.
I've taken a
Yeah.
bunch of my friends, and nobody's ever like that was dumb. Like
Yeah.
it's always awesome.
Exactly.
Well, it's got the random weird that minor league baseball has
Yep.
that is attractive to so many people.
Yep.
But also, like, don't play on those players. Like, they'll school you on a full field.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's
Yep.
like indoors are no joke.
Yep.
So.
Yeah. No, it's fun to watch them too because we have like a lot of local talent
Yep. Yep.
that's been in the academy
Yep.
with the Sounders. That's been fun to watch that. And that's one of the things that really drew me in. I was
Randy
like,
Meeker points out that like throughout most of last season, the Stars were starting more academy kids
Yep.
than S2 was.
yeah,
right.
absolutely, 100%.
And so it's great to say, like, I remember watching you. It's the same thing, like,
Yep.
okay, so the Sounders U23 plays in Tacoma, right? I remember seeing DeAndre Yedlin, like, he's fresh out of high school,
yeah.
and I was like, that kid's good. I'm like, I'm not a scout. I don't know talent from my behind, right? But, like, he stuck out to me immediately. And see, the idea that, like, I watched DeAndre Yedlin play at Tumwater High School Stadium and Franklin Pierce High School Stadium, like, with this dude, and now he's playing, like, in the championship, going back to the Premier League.
Yeah.
It's
And
I love
and
it.
Other people are saying he's the best defender in the championship.
right.
Like, that's no joke.
yeah, exactly. Right. That's legit.
Meanwhile, we were like, I remember when he had crazy hair, and that's all we talked about.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Adam points out that Casey does the Rainier's work too for for Tacoma.
But he's way tuned down for those, right? Like I
Yeah.
love going to Rainier's games, and like he's had me up on the dugout to do a game.
Yeah.
But like at the Rainier's game, he's kind of he's zany.
Yeah.
But at the Stars games,
because he kind of got the open like
right. They're like,
they said go for it.
do your thing,
Yeah,
and he does.
We had him on last year, and it was amazing. He's a great guy to chat with. I really enjoy him.
We gave him a pack of Pixie sticks before.
You sugared him up?
No, we did not. It felt like it. But
Yeah.
We did not give him any sugar beforehand, Mark, because that would have been bad. That may have gone really sideways. So you and I met in L.A.
Yep.
First time I ever met you.
Playoff
Had
game.
No idea who you were. Had like zero clue. We stood next to each other. Started the tradition of
knew you had good
being
taste in clothes,
close.
man. Wingtips.
You didn't have
Yeah.
coats on.
Wingtips.
We had no coats on. We took
Yeah.
our jackets off.
Yeah.
It just happened to be that way. But that was the first time I met you. And then I followed you, and then I was like, oh, I stood next to royalty here, kind of in a way.
Stop.
No, but I mean, come on. It's true. And then I didn't know you were going to be in Toronto. And when we ran each other, so I'm just jumping forward like 3 years.
What was the bargain called with the 800?
Loose
Yeah.
something.
the loose moose. The loose moose.
By the way, it was loose in the loose moose, man. Like
It was.
for real. I'm like, man, it smelled like behind in there, and like,
Among other things.
So we went in the day of the game.
Yep.
At what time? Like noon, I think, right? Did we get there at noon?
Nuts.
Yeah, like a little before. Yeah, so like noon because we did our live show, which was super fun, and it was empty, right? Not empty. No, actually, it was pretty full. I mean, it was pretty full. It was full for a bar. Upstairs was full. Downstairs was empty. We got done with our show. 2 hours later? We went
this
long,
place was just
and it was. That's when you talked about.
I spent like 30 minutes trying to find these guys.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
just dumb.
It was great.
Yeah.
Like
I expected when I got there, because I got there late for the
Yeah,
show.
yeah.
It was like 12:40.
Yeah.
I expected it to be like 20 people and
Yeah.
then us, and it was wall to wall.
the full upstairs was full, like full at that point.
but like
yeah.
it was, the whole Toronto experience was amazing. Like Sound Heart
Yeah.
covered like the travel stories. We
Yeah.
talked about them some too.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
I ate Whataburger at 5 a.m. and slept on the airport ground.
Yeah. Yeah.
By the way, Whataburger in Houston, shout out. Like Toronto was so amazing,
Yeah.
and like the end of such a ridiculous season. Like
You couldn't write it. You couldn't write.
no,
that
you
story.
couldn't. You couldn't.
No.
you couldn't.
No, not
Well,
at all.
you could write it, but people are like, this is garbage.
Yeah,
Just made
right.
this up.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Especially
Yeah.
the way we won. It was
Yeah.
like, what?
Well,
But it made such a sweet ending, man.
I think back to like parts. So I remember we were in Bilbao when Ziggy got fired, and like I wanted Ziggy out at that point, but like still I cried, and I'm like, why am I crying
Yeah.
in an Airbnb in Bilbao, Spain, about a coach I wanted to get fired getting fired? Like, what does this game do to me?
Yeah.
Shout out to Airbnb.
Yeah.
But for real, and I would say on that note, even the people who were, hashtag Ziggy out for years were on
Yeah.
Twitter going, wow, I didn't think this would actually ever happen, and
Yeah.
I feel really bad about it right now.
Yeah. I tweeted it from the
But
stands
that's
in
good,
Portland.
though. Like, that's kind of cool.
Yeah,
like,
it
that you
was.
have that. I know I talk a lot about, those of us in ECS leadership talk a lot about, like, don't fall in love with the players. Like, you got to be real careful about that because they go.
Yep.
And that's okay. Like,
Yeah.
good for them. You know, it's life. Like, make some money, do your thing.
Yep.
But I think that was a moment where, you know, we had Ziggy at Fuel. He asked to come out and do that.
Yeah,
And that was
cool.
really awesome. And, like, we told people, if you're going to show up and be an asshole,
Don't come.
Don't come.
Yeah.
And but that was an interesting thing though, because I expected some boo birds just to roll up and be like, yeah, nope, nothing.
No,
like
it was
straight up
nothing but
respect.
Yeah.
I didn't even like. I showed up late. I was driving. I showed up and I listened to the end of it. And I was outside because it was hot. It was hotter than hell in Fuel.
Yeah.
And it was packed. It was amazing. And I stood there and I had a chance. He walked by. I kind of just waved him. I didn't even like. I just couldn't. Like he was getting ready to leave. For me, it was I just said thank you and let him walk by kind of thing. I didn't
Right.
stop. But everyone else was like, oh hey, sign. I'm like, no, just not everyone else. But there were people outside that were like that.
Yeah.
I'm just like, just go. Thank you.
I remember
Right.
the moment I fell out of love with Ziggy the first time, and when I fell back in love. Scott Levy's film American Football.
Yep.
Like that bought Ziggy at least 3 or 4
Yeah.
years worth. Of, like
Yeah, absolutely.
so earnest.
100%.
Like
Yeah, the way he's just that fire. Just
yeah,
like,
I'll
the
be-
fire. Him and his dad. Him and his dad, man. Like
Yo.
Yeah.
And for me, it was I fell out of love with the Portland game. Yeah, Shalrie Joseph game.
Sure.
And then I fell back in love. Sorry, I know Steve. Steve's laughing off here.
down goes Steve.
we all know. We all know. The Bowling Green Massacre of the Sounders.
This is damn. Oh my God. Yeah.
Good night, everybody.
I'm not.
No, Tim shuts it down.
Damn. You thank you.
He does not have a microphone, by the way.
Yeah. Bowling Green Massacre. That's fucking fantastic.
No. Shalrie Joseph, you got this.
Shalrie
You can do
Joseph.
this.
Shalrie Joseph. I fell back in love with them
Yeah.
when Gasman's book came out,
Yeah.
and I read the book,
Yeah.
and then we had Gasman on the show,
Yep.
which again was my first like true fangirl experience because
Yep.
I've been listening to Gas for 20 years.
Crossing gas, absolutely.
But yeah, that was when I fell back in love with him because I read the story about who he was, where he came from, and then when they came out with the video of obviously with Scott's video,
Yeah.
it was like, oh Jesus, yeah.
well,
so,
in the end, like the game passed him by.
I did.
Right? And like,
the game here, anyways.
Don't
Like I think
tell
he's still
LAFC that.
No. Yeah, exactly.
well, no, he was born in West Germany.
Right, right.
Like the
Yeah.
game passed him by.
when there
Yeah.
was a West and
Yeah,
an East.
right.
But he was all we knew as the Sounders.
Yep.
Yeah.
At least 2009 and up.
And we wouldn't be where we are right
No,
now
no, we
Facts.
wouldn't.
without
Right.
him.
Yeah, exactly.
We wouldn't have
So
this show without him.
That's
Let's be
why
honest.
we had those
I mean,
emotional reactions. Like, man, shit, this is
yeah,
happening.
Yeah.
for real.
And
yeah.
at that point, it was really scary. Like, this might be like are we going to recover? Are we
Right,
going to
like,
be back to the
is our
playoffs?
team over?
Is this like
well,
it was
and
scary, man?
and the fact that he was in TV, he was in Toronto doing TV, like. I've heard the stories. Like he was on the field after the win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't imagine giving basically a decade of your life to a franchise and then getting canned, and then that franchise having its greatest moment, and you're there to watch it, but like you didn't do it. Like
And it wasn't like 2 years later. It was
It was
like
the same year.
5 months.
like
Yeah.
Lisa,
Yeah, yeah, and
Lisa
Spencer
made a
did.
good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love Brian here.
I can't imagine what that feels like
No, I
because
can't.
he was a part of that.
Oh yeah.
He's
Yeah.
a huge part of that. Like,
Of course.
it doesn't happen without him.
Absolutely.
But it didn't happen with him. And
Right.
like, oh god.
Yeah, dude.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, I'm with you.
Totally feel
100%
you.
with you. All right, so let's just tell the jackets off story.
Absolutely.
And then I want to get. I mean, as much as I could talk about you with soccer, and this probably
Why
won't be our
don't
only
you tell
visit.
some of the story? Nate can
Oh,
eat a
eat.
little
Yeah, that's fine.
and chime in
Yeah, that's fine.
between
We'll do that.
bites.
Totally fair.
Yeah, because then we're gonna like pick your brain for like forever, as long as we can. And this won't be hopefully the first time or the last time we have you. It's definitely the first time we're having you on the show.
Podfish and
but-
I have been talking about coming up for a show forever,
Yeah.
and I'm super glad we made it tonight.
Yeah. So but there's
I'm
there's
not
stories
gonna
upon
eat
stories.
a microphone.
Okay, that's fine. You can just mute your microphone if you want. Just turn it off. Okay. He's okay eating on it, but not talking. Okay.
Done.
So we at the Loose Moose, Hugo and I go out there, and we're trying to find Mark at this point,
And he's really small.
and he's really tiny. Yeah.
yeah.
He's tiny. So we get our tickets to go on the train.
Did you actually buy your tickets? Good job.
Yeah, we actually bought tickets. We actually spent money on tickets, even though we didn't need them. I suppose.
Totally worth it.
But it was still worth it. Yeah. And then we actually run into you and your wife at the Loose Moose outside, and then we end up hooking up and sticking together because some of us stuck together, and some of us remembered our tickets.
Shade.
The shade is strong. Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah, we should really have a. That'll be our next investment is a camera that will actually pan.
To be fair, it's Tom's fault. He rushed me out of the room.
That I'm just gonna let that one just.
I'm pretty sure taking the one thing you needed to do the one thing you were doing that day is on you. Okay.
Okay. So we see you, and again, having met you in LA in the playoff game.
I'm dead.
And then I can't even tell my story now because it's like that's just like
Nate down.
That's so much shade. Like, so much shade all in one place.
It's concentrated.
Welcome to SonarFeed.
Yeah, well, exactly. Welcome to SonarFeed.
And I had 2 chaperones.
Yeah, that's the worst part. Is he had 2 chaperones. Now the travel monkeys definitely took care of Mark.
I mean, they got him a ticket.
Well, that's what I meant.
We're not going to get into like
No.
what the travel monkeys knew and when they knew it.
Yeah, we're not gonna.
But
We're
they
just
got
gonna.
it done.
Just all right. Reset.
Okay.
Reset.
So
We're in Toronto.
We're in Toronto.
He has no ticket.
That
So
guy,
the loose moose.
Yeah.
We're outside
It's his
the
own
loose
fault.
moose.
We all agree.
and then this guy had someone else's ticket.
Yeah, I picked up somebody's
And then
ticket
we
from
lost
Mexico,
him.
so I had to pick it up.
We lost you for like
Yeah.
yeah. This is the best part. Is that but then we lost him. This is before we knew yours though. This
Yeah.
is before.
This is before they
We're in Toronto.
Yeah. We get on the train together and actually somehow manage to stay together all the way in until we have to split up for men versus women for the to get
Security
in.
theater.
Security theater. Yeah, that was the least I've ever been.
The number of
searched
people that brought
ever.
in flares is greater than
Dude,
one,
it
and that's
is.
all I'm
Well,
going
but
to
it's,
say.
it's Canadian security, right? Like, and so like, come on.
Yeah, good point. But then we end up sitting together.
But how great was that train ride?
What is
and
sitting?
that march?
Standing.
And yeah, by the way,
Standing.
the train ride.
Yeah.
Oh,
And so here's the thing: is that we had probably 400 people on a train that was supposed to hold 150.
if that many.
Singing and chanting, and the best part was watching like the Toronto civilians who had no idea what the F was going on, just look up and be like, "What is this green mess rolling through
What
here?"
is going on here?
The dude
What
at
is
the end of the
going on?
train
Yes.
that was standing there going, I'm just trying to go home from work. That was awesome.
Oh my God.
His
Yeah,
face
so
is like,
good.
And
So
people were on
good.
both
Gone.
sides of the station, just singing and chanting and bouncing like that. Yeah.
that was
That
awesome.
moment, man, it's the best.
We got mooned by like a 15-year-old Toronto fan.
That's
I'm like,
right.
that's inappropriate.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like,
Yeah,
sir.
no, that was actually Mark.
In a
Whatever.
probe.
I missed that.
Yeah. So we get up there. The game is kind of whatever, right? It's cold. I mean, just be
cold.
honest. The
No,
game,
no.
The game.
Don't- let's not say it was cold. I've never been that cold in my entire adult life.
Fair enough.
Like, I bought a beer, and I realized that my beer wasn't warming up because it was getting colder.
Yeah.
Right? And, like,
Yeah.
so I'm like, oh, my beer is now 30 degrees. This
Yeah.
is glorious. Like, it was so cold.
Yeah.
It was
British
so
people everywhere were super pissed.
And I'm like, base
My beer's
layer
cold.
over base layer, wool pants over that, flannel line stuff, like boot. And I'm still just like shivering.
Yeah.
And remember that weirdo next to us from Hawaii who was wearing shorts?
Dude, okay.
And I'm like, bruh.
Yeah. Not me. Not me. Not me. No,
I saw that
dude
guy.
was crazy.
He was, all the ladies in the section were like momming him. They're like, where's your jacket? He's
Yeah.
like, I'm fine.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're not fine, dude.
Hey, I wore socks and sandals, but you know what? I had on 3 pairs of socks.
Aaron,
What?
socks and sandals.
No,
No,
not.
that answered it already.
Not going to be able to do
We're going
it.
to go straight to the questions?
Hey, I know. He's a Clue America fan, dude. It's already.
I was like, man, well, are you? Never mind. I love you too much.
We'll come back to this
I love
later.
you too much.
Yeah, we will.
We're going to come back to
it.
this,
All right.
I guess, maybe.
But it was that cold, man, and I wore like multiple layers of socks. That was a bad idea.
No, see, but I
Really
wore,
bad idea.
my socks and my feet were able to breathe, so my socks and feet didn't freeze like everybody
Mine
wearing
did.
the 5 layers and then the boots.
Oh, I was throwing hand warmers in my feet.
I didn't
my
have
had
shoes.
to.
Yeah.
I did
my
that at
feet
halftime.
never got cold. Exactly.
Yeah.
So I wore my sock liner.
Wait, we're really going into football
Yeah,
right now.
we
So
are.
we're in Toronto.
I wore my
Guys, this
Wool
is not
sock
fun
liner.
anymore. Nate ate his food.
Oh, we're not filling him. Okay.
Yeah.
So then it's 3 degrees.
Yep.
It is
God, it
3
was cold.
degrees.
It was 14 with
with the wind chill.
Just keep
No, it was
going.
3.
Just keep
The
talking.
dude next
It
to me
felt
said
like
it was
3,
3.
man.
We're gonna be here till 11:30.
Yeah.
Do you remember the
3.
moment like when you came up the top of the stairs and hit the ramp and,
Oh, yeah, it
and the
was-
wind hit you?
yes.
Like I had a religious experience and it was not a good one.
Yeah,
I was
no.
like, woo, the load is woo.
Yeah.
Okay, it's cold.
Yep.
It's below 0-ish, below freezing, I should say. And we go to penalties after a kind of a crappy game
Well, and
with an amazing save from
It's
Fry.
worth pointing out that we have a terrible history with penalties too.
Oh,
and like
man,
I'm fully
scary.
I was thinking about the Open Cup versus Kansas
I'm getting
City.
nervous just thinking about it.
Exactly. And so like
Were you in Kansas City?
no.
Okay,
I watched
we
that.
were there.
I watched that in Doyle's pub, screaming. And so we're always terrible at penalties. I get so anxious at sport games. I just like, and so I had to do something, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, jackets off.
Yeah.
Like,
Dude, I heard you say it twice, and I was like,
well,
what?
Originally, I was like, I can't watch. I'm just going to cover my eyes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I have to watch. Like, why the hell am I going to fly across the continent to cover my eyes? So I'm like, jackets off.
And then your wife.
Looked at me like I was a stupid fool. She was like,
This story just got so much better from the time that you've related, and by time I mean 37 times.
she looked over and she was like, "You're doing what?" I'm like,
Yeah.
"Jackets off!" And like I turned and yelled at the section, right? And,
Yeah.
not everybody did it, but
No.
like it was.
We all did.
Absolutely. All my favorites did, right?
All this, see,
did,
there we
man.
go. All this, our whole group did, and we
Yep.
all linked arms.
Yep.
Like, kind of did one of these
And
things,
shivered.
and shivered like a motherfucker. But then, and then they won, and then Roman scored.
Yep.
The Sounders, the Seattle Sounders championships, and we all freaked out.
Are you Kurt Larson?
Damn.
No, but that
Kurt
moment
Larson
was
over here,
legit
yeah.
though, because I remember you said to take the jackets off, and
Yep.
I look over, he starts to do it.
Yeah.
I'm doing it. I'm finding a way to put my stuff safely behind me.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I'm like, am I gonna like I usually take a lot of photos, videos, and I was
Yep.
like, you know what? I'm all in this moment.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm all
Yep.
in.
Yep. We
So
all
I remember
were.
we locked arms.
Yep.
We're here.
With my
And,
brother.
and it's so painful to watch penalties
Oh,
because
that's
of what
brutal.
we've done. So I didn't want to, but you're like, we're here. That's it. We gotta do this,
Yeah.
man.
When Benoit Cheroux, whatever the heck his name is, missed that one, I was
yeah.
just like, that's what you get for having a stupid name.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's totally what I was thinking. And I'm not actually kidding at
Yeah,
all.
no. Yeah, and
Oh,
Joven.
Joven. Joven.
I thought it was gone.
Zero F's given. Just like,
Yeah.
boom, what?
Boom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He carries a sack in a wheelbarrow. Tim's over here like dropping firebombs. I love it.
Boom.
So, which we, by the way, we will hopefully in the next month or so have a bigger board so we can actually have the mic on the
Yeah.
Great.
some folks
Great.
in the audience. But anyways, we then are celebrating after the Romans goal. We freak out. People are jumping on the seats.
man.
And my phone is in my jacket on
sorry.
the fucking seat.
Sorry, dude, that was
Yeah,
me.
no, it's okay. It's okay. It ended up being okay.
That was me.
But all of a
Sorry,
sudden, all of a sudden,
actually not sorry.
I had this moment of like, oh my god, my phone's there. Get the hell out of my way.
Yeah.
Because we did, like you said, we went all in,
And-
and
and
that was a moment I'll never forget.
Grown
that.
man tears.
Oh,
Yeah.
no
so many
question.
grown
Oh my
man
God.
tears. Like you know
No
what?
fucking
So
question.
I get made fun of in my household because apparently I didn't cry at our wedding, but I cry at sporting events. And so I'll leave it at that. I'm good. I'm good.
So anyway,
All right. Do we want to talk about anything else, Sounders, right now? Because we'll come back and talk Sounders
I
later.
will
talk
just
about
say
other
this.
stuff.
I'm very excited for this season coming up.
Yes.
But like, let's go to other stuff. Let's go.
Let's go to their stuff. Let's go. So,
and we have a couple of questions.
you want to start off with the questions?
Not our questions.
No. We're gonna come back to our questions too. Don't worry. Because I don't think tonight's gonna
That's
be a
not my
very
We have a
big.
really.
It
I
is.
think we have a one that like.
Let's kick it off.
You know when you
Go
look
for it.
at things and you go, I don't know what this
Yeah.
means at all. Do you have a take? The Danielson framework for evaluation.
Jesus. Okay.
Whoa!
Who is this person?
It's Vigilant Kristen.
Okay.
Where at?
First of all, shout out for that. So my district doesn't use Danielson. We use 5Ds. But okay, if I was we're really doing this.
We're doing it.
If I was creating an evaluation system for teachers, it would be 4 parts. 1, observation from an evaluator. 2, observation from a peer. 3, student growth. And 4, student perception surveys. Kids sit through 6 classes a day. Like, they know what good teaching is and bad teaching is. Like, if you think back, you know your good teachers and bad teachers.
Yeah.
And like, student voice is missing in
Shout out to Big
evaluations
Fry.
and should be there. And so like, I don't love Danielson, but if I was making my own system, that's what it would be. That's a really actual question that came in.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
SonarFeed. The SonarFeed program. Shout out.
No, it's right here.
I'm gonna follow her. Okay.
Right?
Yeah, she's good. I know her. Actually, she's good. She's good people.
And by the way,
she's
that
Sounders.
question is about teacher evaluations and like what
Right.
system you use and what
Yeah.
you prefer.
Yeah, I just. Okay. This is back to soccer related question.
All right.
I'm gonna do it just because we love him. Hashtag hire Dave Clark.
Yeah.
And it wasn't Dave. It wasn't Dave who asked the question.
By the way,
way.
love Dave Clark and the
We
community
love-
he builds.
Yes.
Let's
So
go.
great. You
Yeah.
didn't even see the
This
question
community
yet.
wouldn't be here almost. I
Right?
think.
No.
Is Dave Clark the best candidate for the Sounders to hire as content manager?
Duh. Wait, is Nick Furshaw gone again, or whomever?
I don't know the answer.
From what I understand.
If that job is open and they don't hire Dave Clark, they're fools.
Fools, he said.
Okay, here's the thing: is like the best part of Sounderdom is the overlapping communities.
Yes.
So like, I'm a member of the Sounder Heart community.
Yep.
I'm a member of the ECS. I'm a member of like the Sounders season ticket holderdom, and like those
You're now
overlapping
part of the SonarFeed family.
part of this. Right,
Yeah, let's go.
the
Minor
jackets
piece.
off sell.
Yeah, yeah. Jackets off sell.
And so like
Damn.
that overlapping sense of community is
we do a
amazing.
terrorist
It is.
And like
bump?
and Dave foments so much of that. Like I'm a huge fan. Like so the first time I met Dave in person, I was wearing a Sounder Heart scarf, and he just stopped me and said thank you, and we started like jawing back and forth, and he's like came out. I was a vet. He was a vet, and like no, if they hire somebody not Dave, then like that's like Costigan level failure, honestly.
I won't do what I did at the business meeting and speak my full mind. So I won't go any further on that one. But
Fair enough.
You're right. I think you're right because
Fair enough.
I know details in this one that I don't want to. But yeah, I think you're right.
All right.
They need to.
I concur.
They should do it. And I know you're
concur.
watching, so do it, please. Just do it.
Brendan has a question.
Yeah.
Teacher who had the greatest impact on you?
Oh, easy.
For
Okay,
Brendan,
so-
it was Dr. Smith in the 9th grade.
So in high school, I lost my father and two uncles who were like really close to me, like within like an 18-month period. And if you see my transcript, like it goes decent grade, woo, right? And basically, I was in a JROTC program, and Major Phillips, like the only black male teacher I had in high school, grabbed me and said, "You're too smart for the choices you're making right now, and like you're gonna fix it. I'm not gonna let you fail." And he saved my life, honestly. And so like whenever I give a talk about teaching, I thank him. Like if you're out there, Major Phillips, like I'm still appreciative and thankful. Like thank you. And if he is out there, like he sends me a
Yeah.
Christmas card every year.
Oh, that's so dope.
Foss High School in Tacoma.
He went, okay.
Like,
Shout out to Miss Fry at Evergreen. She's that person for me.
and in fact, let's go around. Shout out to who?
Mr. Edfeld, I moved here in my junior year, 16 years old, and I came here and I made it through my junior year here in Issaquah High. And I was fortunate enough to be in the TIP program, the Technology and Information Project, which was basically the students were able to be that. We wired all the high schools. We did all the installation of hardware, the software. So I
But
was
like real
basically-
experiential learning.
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
Like one of the first. This was in '91.
Yep.
This is before the internet. Like the
Damn.
internet. I'm sorry, the internet was there, but this is when you were
Oh, no.
you were
You
at college.
didn't have
Was
the
it?
internet.
91?
No, but the
in most
college
houses.
student was
Yeah.
college students had internet, and the military/government had internet, but nobody at home had internet. This is before AOL, before anything
Sure.
related to that. And we did, and I helped.
Not even CompuServe or Prodigy.
No, none of it. I helped install and do a lot of that work, and then I was one of the trainers
Yeah.
of the teachers. I taught teachers how to use email. I taught teachers how to do it. And he, even though I was like a C-ish student in math, looked at me and goes, "I trust you with my kids. Let's go," and put me in there. And that's something that I still say today. Do I like you? Would I let you hang out with my kids?
Yeah.
That's a thing for me. So yeah, with Mr. Edfeld, sorry. I
Nice.
could have gone, oh my God, yeah, sorry. You just
No,
brought
but
goosebumps.
that- no,
Yeah,
but that's
he
and
made me who I am today. for better or for worse.
Everybody who's a functional, successful adult hopefully has somebody.
Yeah, that's in the cartoon, Miss Fry.
Hey, Mark, off the camera real quick.
Yeah, please.
For me, it was Randy Litzenberger. He was my history teacher. He had this infamous shake test. So you had to have a binder with all of your
Oh,
notes.
Mrs. Jackson.
Yes.
and it was not whether you had the content, it was how well are you taking care of what you're studying.
Yeah.
And so he would take your binder and he would shake it, and literally if a paper fell out, you failed the shake test.
Yep.
And it was one of those things, like he had been former military, but had taught me like discipline of taking care of things that are important to you, like education. So
Tom,
Yeah.
favorite teacher?
And then Mark went to Wazoo.
I have 3 that like stand out, and they're all high school. I had some really great college professors, but I had a economics teacher that is the first name that came to me, but I would say the one that really stands out is took Spanish for 3 years in high school, and the third year I took it was someone who spoke Spanish natively, and he was from Cuba. His name was Manuel Rios, which
Rios.
the moment like Americans figure out what that means, you're like, oh, many rivers, like that's funny. But he actually taught Spanish in a way that like right now, like I not joke, but I talk about like I'd love to be a teacher of some sort at some point. I don't know what to do with it just yet, but he actually taught Spanish in a useful manner. Like in the United States, we learn Spanish, like book Spanish is Spain Spanish.
Your
And even
Spanish-
then, it's formal Spain Spanish and not like, it's not to say we should learn Mexican Spanish. We should learn this part of the world Spanish.
Yeah.
Like the slang's different, the context is
Yes.
different. He taught like Cuban Spanish. So he had words for things that like you thought you were cheating on a test because you couldn't remember a word, but you used some other word that we would joke is Spanglish. He's like, nope, that's what we say in Cuba. And like, that's a real thing. And like, it was, at the time, I didn't realize it. It was just different from the previous teachers who just happened to teach Spanish because they understood Romance languages.
But that's why I love the job, right?
Yeah.
It's like 20 years from now, there's going to be hundreds of kids walking around and be like, damn it, bowling used to blank, right? Like bowling made me read David Brooks, right? Bowling made me write this thing. And like that's why the work's so magical. Like I love what I get to do.
And that's where, like, to me, I think the teachers that stand out are the ones that do it because they give a shit. And I don't want to say about you as a kid, which they do, but like that's not the point. It's because they're like, no, this is actually something I care about. I'm gonna make sure you understand the value of what this brings. Like I have the tingles, like sitting here thinking about it. Like
Same
that
here,
dude
same
was
here.
like,
Me too, man.
you need to learn this. It's important.
Yep.
In the future. And like in 1991 in New Jersey, you didn't need to know Spanish. And this guy was like, I somehow got into the country from Cuba. I need to teach this 60, 70% white school how to speak proper Spanish. You know, that was kind of cool.
The first day of class in government, I say that government is endowed with the power from the people to take away your life, liberty, and property. It can decide who you can marry, who you can't marry, where you can live. It can draft you into the military. It can take away your life. So if we don't understand government, then like we can be taken advantage of. And it sounds kind of like a maniac conservative rant. And it's not, but like just once the kids buy into that, then they don't ever ask why we're learning this. Like I never get asked that. So I can sit down with a kid and say, I want you to read this amicus curiae brief from this like affirmative action case back in the 70s, Bakke versus California. And they're like, okay. And like they're in because like they understand the importance of it.
That was the wide open door there. So looking at that comment you just made about what you tell your kids, what grade are you teaching mostly?
I teach 9th grade, 1 period, and 4 periods of seniors.
Oh, that's interesting. Wow. So you actually do a full, completely different. I mean, because a 9th grader at 14, 15,
You like
14,
life
15
context.
Well, no, so I joke that like I'm the apertura and clausura, right? I'm the opening and closing, right? So like
Oh, interesting.
I get to
You
house.
got MX fan here, folks. For those of you that didn't catch that.
I get to house train 14-year-olds,
Let's go.
which and house train sounds wrong, but like,
No,
but
yeah.
they're 14, right?
Kind of the word.
And then I get them back senior year, and I'm like, "Who's had a bowling class before?" And about a third of the hands go up, and I'm like, "So what are the norms?" And the kids who I've had, like the culture's already there, and we can just go. And so there's no like, welcome to senior year. Welcome to senior year. Let's learn.
Yeah. So let's just go into it.
Yep.
You've watched the last 24 months ish of at what?
I was going to go with 24 days, but
okay. Okay.
I was going to go 24 hours.
How about 24 minutes? We don't
like-
even know.
Server, another round at the table,
Yeah.
please.
yeah. I am not a smart man.
So 2 years.
Not. I don't need the peanut gallery to confirm that because we all know it's true.
Isn't this from The Jerk?
It
that
is.
what that's-
Yeah. I know what I know, and I've lived my life the way I've lived it. I grew up in the Midwest. I've talked about this a lot. I wasn't surprised by the result of the election. I was shocked, but I wasn't surprised.
Yeah.
Brexit was a good indicator for me that like this is going this way. There was a bunch of other international elections that are happening that kind of
Jamaica.
changed everything.
Can I
And
get another round?
and everything happens here.
I'll just do.
for
and then he'll do one.
yeah. Everything happened.
Trump tweets over here. I'm just like,
Yeah, okay.
"Ah,
No,
God."
okay. We'll come back. But
Don't look at Twitter.
I'm good.
yeah. So we look at everything. Look at everything here and
Yeah.
just go this everything. It's a shocker, but it's not a shocker, right?
Sure.
I mean, it's one of those things that please.
If you've been paying attention.
If you've been paying attention.
Yeah.
Here, let me
Go
just.
ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah,
So,
just-
I think the thing that will surprise a lot of people about me is that I'm actually less like liberal than people think I am. So like I'm religious, go to church every Sunday. I'm a gun owner. I'm a vet, right? And so that's half of my brain. I also like firmly believe that Black Lives Matter. On the flip side, I was the vice president of my college Republicans. On the flip side, like I don't stand for the anthem. And so that's kind of like my worldview. But the thing is,
it's fun to confuse people.
Yeah,
Because
well,
like
my-
stereotypical.
my brain
Like-
just went on.
I
I
can
can't.
imagine.
Because,
No,
because
but
you're
that's-
making decisions
Yes.
for specific things you believe in.
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
Right.
And I create like a disequilibrium in the kids' heads. Like they don't know my politics. Like the kids who know my politics, like follow my personal Twitter feed, whatever. I can't hide that from them.
No.
But like in the classroom, I'm straight down the middle. Like most of the kids are convinced that I'm a frustrated Nixon Republican, right? And so like the way that I've dealt with Trump in my classroom
Wow.
is that like I talk about how
President
Trump
didn't know that.
I talk about how Trump's a departure from what the Republican Party has been,
Yeah.
right? And so I showed the kids Reagan's speech in '76 to the RNC, and like honestly, it's one of the greatest political speeches in American history.
Right.
And he says in that speech, we have to start talking to each other, not about each other. And I think one of the biggest things that's happened is that people who are progressive have learned to only talk to other people like that, right? They only talk to other progressives, and so they don't know how to convince. And
Yeah,
so
that's fair.
if you're only talking to people who believe in the same things you do all the time, then you speak the same language, have the same assumptions, and you marginalize other people. Like, let's be honest. I could see myself pulling the lever, proverbially whatever, for a David Brooks type Republican. Like, I could see that. There's people like Chris Vance, who's here in Washington State.
Yeah.
And like, I enjoy talking to Chris, having Twitter interactions. David Frum, like there's like that kind of Republican is out there. But I can't mess with Trump. Right? And part of it is that like it's a departure from everything that I understand about American politics and also American culture, and also that like so the Republican Party has traditionally the Republicans have traditionally played on the fears of working class white people and racial fears, like
what you mean, like now?
But no. But in the past, like on the side, like kind of wink, like
Yeah.
dog
Yeah,
whistling
yeah,
and all
yeah.
that.
Yes.
And now it's just like, nah, F
Nah.
it, right?
here.
Boom.
Yeah, and I just
Boom.
I can't abide that. But the thing is like the Republic is going to be saved not by the left, because left's a mess. Like the left can't find its butt from its forehead.
No.
Like the future of the Republic is Lindsey Graham, John McCain, Susan Collins, and Rand Paul. 4 Republican senators. Right? Like Podfish and I were talking on the way up here. Wait, am I lying though?
But I
Right?
have to tell you right now, I know people, myself included,
Yeah.
that would have voted for John McCain multiple times. Yeah. Sorry.
But the thing is the left has forgotten. What the left does is that any Republican is a racist, demagogue, devil, evil.
Right.
And what that has done is it's said to Republicans, if they think that I'm a racist, demagogue, evil, then I might as well either A, be one, or B, disengage and not deal with them. Like where are the moderates? Where's James Baker? Right? Where is Brent Scrokoff? Where are those Republicans at? Like they've been called racist for 20 years and they're tired of it. And so
well, and unfortunately right now, unless you're paying attention, and Twitter actually does a good job at uncovering people like that, is that people retweet shit blindly, and then someone goes, you do realize that person is a Republican from Republican State X.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, oh, shit. We agree on
well,
things?
do you guys follow Anna Navarro?
Yes.
Like Anna Navarro and Evan McMullen are that,
Oh my God, Evan Mullen.
Dude, go Utah.
they're
Yeah.
but they're the ones. Here's the thing: is like, it's like when you're drinking too much. Like somebody
I only
who-
had one.
No, but
okay.
somebody who you don't know telling you're
time?
drinking too much.
Yeah.
You're like, I do what I want. I handle my business, right? When your friend goes, you're drinking too much. That's when you listen.
McMullen trivia, by the way. Auburn High School, 92.
Look at that. What? Dave over here fact checking for us.
No,
But, okay.
But like
Dropping bombs.
You'll never if you had too much to drink, you're never giving the keys away to like some rando or
Right.
your enemy.
Right.
Your friend takes the keys, and the people who are going to fix the Republican Party and fix what's happening in America are going to be moderate
Lord.
Republicans, and that means that we have to like not treat them like they're animals and not treat them like they're assholes. And like when progressives talk to Republicans like they're fools, like it's driving them towards Trump.
Fair
But that-
enough. Can I make just on that comment?
Sure.
On Ana Navarro. I followed her throughout the entire election.
Yeah.
Because she was a voice of reason, I thought,
Yeah.
from because this election, I got like four things I want to say here. I followed her, and then when Trump was elected, she said we must come together and support and unite behind him. And at that point, I unfollowed.
Oh, go back. She's off that reservation now. Like,
I know.
Oh, okay.
And my wife told me that, and I'm. It's my fault for not maybe going past that because this election was not about politics for me. This is about humanity, and that's where I'm at, and I'm struggling personally with humanity versus politics. I don't care if you have an R after your name or a D after your name or an I after your name, whatever you want to have after your name. I struggle with somebody in the office today like that, and where people told me that I needed to support him blindly.
Yeah.
I don't blindly support unless you say it. I mean, literally. I mean, I'm half joking, but I fall somewhere between. I'm a recovering Catholic.
Sure.
I've been very clear about that. I grew up in a very Catholic, very religious area. And then
With your name, you're Catholic, really?
I know Aaron Michael Riley. I know it's hard, but I am somewhere between an agnostic and atheist
Yeah.
world. I know but it's somewhere where I fall, and I'm not sure where I fall. And we talk about this with our kids because it's important to me that we talk about that. And the kids are like, "What is that? What does that mean?" And I'm like, "Well, this is where I'm at. This is who I am. We'll take you everywhere and show you everything to make sure you can make your own decision because that's what we're going to educate you." But that's where I struggle with that. Your comment's beautiful, but
you nailed it though. You nailed it because it's not political. It's humanity.
Yeah.
Like me saying that law enforcement shouldn't kill 1,100 people a year is not a political statement. It's a statement about humanity. Right? The idea that like we're not gonna that the nation with the Statue of Liberty, give me your tired, your weaker huddled masses, isn't gonna build a GD wall against only our brown border. Like that's not a political statement. Like that's humanity, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
for
so
them to completely ignore 11 million people
Yep.
that have been contributing to our country,
Yep.
that pay taxes,
Yep.
that
Yeah, and
do
the whole
all
thing-
this is just like, what?
the idea that we're going to say to people who have green cards, who are legal residents, you can't come home because you're visiting family. That's not political. That's humanity, right?
Yeah.
And so for me, it's how can I take this issue? It's not a political issue. It's justice, right?
Yeah.
Like the civil rights movement isn't a political issue. Like there's no DNR. Well, there were DNR stances, but they were stupid and fabricated, right?
Exactly.
And so
And they switched.
like,
Adam
and
nailed
so
it. Yeah.
what I try to do is
That's history. Don't talk about it.
what I try to do is I try to have conversations on that level about justice.
Yep.
Like I don't care who you're going to vote for. I care about how you feel about matters impacting my community, my kids.
Yeah, that's right, and that's what matters.
Yeah.
That's exactly what matters.
Yeah.
And
Well, there's a question that came through on the Twitter feed. They're asking about like me and the anthem, right? And so I published that piece on Sound at Heart
Yep.
about my thoughts on the anthem. And it's weird for me because again, I'm a vet, right? My mother was in the military. My father was in the military. My stepfather was in the military. My uncles, who I mentioned earlier on, were in the military. Like for the last 100 years, like the military service has been an entry point for Black Americans to the middle class. Like,
Yep.
I served for 6 years in the reserves. I got out because I thought the Iraq War was stupid. I joined the Kaepernick protests, and like I don't stand for the anthem, but I do stand at school because the one thing I don't do at school is I don't preach my politics, right? So
Interesting, okay.
I want them to come to their own conclusions and have their own, have their own discernment. It's funny, like they always ask me, like, "What do you think?" And the kid's like, "He's not going to answer that." Like, how do I want to say this? I will talk with my kids about where I stand on issues, but I won't talk with my kids about where I stand on candidates and where I stand with party stuff because, like, that's for them to decide themselves.
Right. Yep.
What I will say is that I will support you. I will support your families. Like at my school, I have Muslim families. Like my Muslim students were fundamentally terrified after the election. Some of my best students are undocumented students. Like
Which is horrifying. I'm sorry to
No,
like bust in your
it
flow
is-
there.
no, it is
Like,
horrifying.
actually horrifying to me.
Yeah. No,
Like,
it really
no,
was, man.
I walked into tears, and like my room was full of crying children. Well, sorry, kids, crying teenagers, late teenagers. You guys
But
are
like,
awesome.
they're not 5
Yeah.
and like don't have context. Like they know what's going
Yeah.
on.
No, my kids can quote Madison. They know exactly what the F is going on,
yeah.
and they were just like, "What is happening right now?" And
Yeah,
I was
and that's
like,
kids, in families
Yep.
that they're my
Like, they
niece
might have
was,
a job.
was
Yeah.
scared that she made a comment.
Yeah.
My brother teaches 4th grade. I have another buddy who teaches in middle school. all of them.
Yep.
None of them have said that none of their kids have not reacted to this. And I've reacted to it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm stressed out. I've gotten super sick in the last month. And part of it is this. These kids are definitely feeling it just as much, if not worse, than we are.
There's kind of two things here. One, I don't think the average middle class, like suburban white person, knows how complicating to life poverty is. And like that's a huge issue in education. So for everybody here, I'm assuming if you had a flat tire tomorrow, like it would suck, but you'd figure it out, right?
Yep.
For so many of my families, if they have a flat tire tomorrow, like they have to decide between tire or rent.
Yep.
Because the resources aren't there. And like the average, like I don't think many voters understand that. And the other thing is, I don't think people understand how much of a threat Trump's policies are to those same communities. And so like they're walking under a yoke of like threat from government and a yoke of like threat from poverty and instability. And then we're saying, hey, show up at school at 7:30 in the morning, do calculus. Yeah. Like, come on.
Yeah, seriously.
Because that's relevant.
Right.
Yeah, no, man, that totally hits it.
I'm
right
not
at home,
anti-calculus,
man.
by the way. I love calculus. Thanks, Sarah. You're an awesome math teacher. But like, come the hell on. And so sometimes there are things that are bigger than school.
So this is, again, I'm going back to me because it's
Sure.
whatever I do.
And it's
that's
your
what I
show. Do you, boo?
Chris Arnett is a guy I follow
Hold
on
on.
Twitter.
That's going on the internet?
Have you followed Chris Arnett? This whole, what you're talking about too,
Yeah.
front row, rear row, is something that Brendan Vaughn turned me on to the guy. And it's something that's helped and or hurt me as I struggle through this, trying to figure out what my place is and what I should do, how I should act, and or why we ended up where we are today. Do you have an opinion on that compared to what you just said, even a little bit? Because some of the reason why we have Trump in office today is because there were people who had to decide between a tire and rent, who voted for a guy who, what I said wrongly, I will say now, that the unintelligent or the ignorant have said, and again, I said that, and I'll own it, and I'm sorry. It felt like there was a lot of ignorance going on in the vote for Trump. That the guy said, "I'm going to get jobs back." I worked in industry for a long time in manufacturing, and manufacturing is
They
not
ain't
coming
coming
back.
No.
But it's not
But
even
people
ignorance.
voted.
It's someone told me otherwise, and I
Right.
believed it,
And
I'm walking blindly into this.
Right, and that's back to my blind faith comment that I don't go that route. But so, do you have like?
There's a couple of stats I keep in my head at all times that just kind of explain American politics. The Democratic Party has not won the majority of the white vote since 1964. 1964 coincides with the Civil Rights Act of 1964. When Johnson signed that, he said, I'm going to lose the South for a generation. Well, it's more than a generation right now.
Yeah.
Right? And so there's two things going on.
That might be the best.
Well, you have to send yourself in it only for you.
had.
No,
For us,
you want a
no.
beer? No, there's two things going on. One, there's that. Like there's a low income, non-college educated white resentment within the Republican Party that is, very foot forward. The other thing is that Republicans are willing to vote for somebody who's a Republican who they dislike, and Democrats aren't. So basically, here's the thing: there's a lot of liberals.
Yes.
There's a lot of
We saw
liberals.
that.
Right. There's a lot of liberals
Yeah.
who loved Sanders and hated Clinton, who voted for Jill Stein or the Libertarian. All the conservatives who hated Trump voted for Trump. The second stat, I had two stats, is that if you look at voters who their number one issue was the Supreme Court, Trump won 57% of them. And so a whole mess of conservatives who are anti-abortion or pro-whatever basically held their nose and voted for Trump because the court was the number one issue. And the liberals don't have that. Like, where's the progressive outrage about Merrick Garland? Right?
Seriously.
Well, it's
Merrick
none
Garland,
of that. None of it.
The Constitution says the president has the power to appoint, and then Congress shall advise and consent. And Congress just went, nah.
But this is unprecedented.
How do we
This
even
is
say nothing?
unprecedented right
Nobody
now.
said nothing.
If apparently it's like unlimited for cell phone plans. Unprecedented doesn't mean what we all think it means.
Well, and so that's so you have
Damn, nice.
class resentment, right?
Yes.
You have class resentment, and you have also the fact that like when times are bad, people like a strong man, and there's a whole bunch of people who like the last 8 to 16 years has been a disruption of like what they believe America is, and like they're looking for a restoration. Like, can we make America great again is one of the dumbest ass marketing schemes and phrases in human creation, but there's a 25 to 30% of the population who like wants to take America back to a time and place.
Well, let's be
But
honest.
that's where we're playing the you sort of got into this a little bit before without saying it. We're in this like every 4 years we're gonna have a nuclear war without actually having a nuclear war. Knock on wood. But like, oh, you elected Barack Obama? Fuck you. We're electing Donald Trump. Like that happened. And what the Democrat this is where this is why this came into my head was the Democrats can't just go, we're going to come up with the polar opposite for Donald Trump. They need to solve the problem, not just it's the anti-Donald Trump.
Right, and that's what scares me is because you hear a lot of. I mean, and I'm one of them. I'm a voice of it. I'm like block every single thing he puts out there because I don't. And so let me ask. Sorry, let me reframe it because we're about Nate tonight. Well, we're not all about Nate, but I want to hear your opinion.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, we are.
But we're all about Nate.
I mean, I am.
I am.
Let me just do my eyes. But
I'd like to be back, so we can let's go.
okay, but so I've tweeted multiple times recently that I want every single nominee. I tweet once in a while. I know. I want every nominee, everything that he puts forward, to be blocked. Because that's what's happened for the last few years, or 8 years, if you wanted to, for Barack. I don't want them to put up a Donald Trump idiot on the from the left. I want to put up somebody who actually is my world. I want a fiscally conservative, socially liberal person who actually believes that, which I don't know if there's anyone that exists today. Maybe
It's really hard to argue that if you start to break that down.
I'm just saying. That's fine. That's fine.
No, because I've said that to people before.
No.
I've said that to people before.
Yeah.
Like in my head, that's what I think I am. I'm kind of not, but when it comes to social policies, the things in my gut I believe in.
We are in the weeds, ladies and gentlemen.
Tend to be liberal. However, I don't want big government.
Right.
In my head.
No, I
but
want
it's
government.
not all possible.
But I want government to look at the FAA and say, "Go ahead and tell me when I need to do something."
Yeah,
to make sure that my
I want the
planes fly
EPA
safe.
to be like, "Hey guys, that chemical you just dumped on those fields in Oahu, don't do that."
Fiscally conservative to me doesn't mean that I don't spend money. Fiscally conservative means that I spend money to make sure that the humanity is protected, whether that's here locally, whether that's here globally, whether that's here wherever. That's what I mean by. I don't mean like screw big government. I mean I want to make sure that we're protecting my children and my children's children and my children's children's children and your children's children, or whatever. If you have any ever in the future, or you announced before the show you're having a kid, congratulations. No, I'm just kidding. That was a joke. That was a joke, by the way. That was a joke. but that's what I mean by that. So,
well, here's the thing: is
but go ahead and rip me apart.
No,
please.
Not at all. That's not what I'm going to do at all. Would anybody
correct me?
No,
correct.
Would anybody here not trade their left arm right now to have Bush 1 back in office?
Well, my left arm doesn't work very well, so I would totally.
We would all do that,
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
can't believe I'm saying that.
I take Bush 2.
Okay. I'll add this. Would anybody here not trade somebody else's left arm to have Mitt Romney back in office?
Oh, hell yeah. All day long.
God.
But think about how
it
the
was
left...
someone else's left arm,
Think
though,
about
so-
how the left portrayed Bush and
Yes.
Romney.
Absolutely. Right.
Like, we've done this to ourselves. We've demagogued and demagogued and demagogued and demagogued. And guess what? We got to get a demagogue now.
But like actual demagogue.
Actual demagogue.
Straight up.
And by the way, a
Straight
demagogue...
up.
Wait, are you saying that
No.
the
holds
Democrats
barred
cried wolf?
demagogue.
I'm a demagogue that I'm not sure can read, right? And so not only do you have a demagogue, but our demagogue has control of the House, control of the Senate, the opportunity to make an appointment to the Supreme Court,
I mean, so-called judges are crazy.
a ton of governors on his side, and also over the last 8 years, Democrats lost 1,000 seats in local legislatures. And this is the part that I really want to hammer on. I mean,
Yes, you will.
local politics matters, and we're all focused on like, what is Trump doing? What is Trump doing? What is Trump doing? What is happening right now in the Washington State Legislature? Like a Republican senator proposed a bill that would make any protest that interferes with commerce illegal.
Oh my God.
No, was it felonious? In fact, okay, the Boston Tea Party. Hello.
Yeah,
Montgomery
seriously.
bus boycott.
Which, by the way,
Hello.
all
Interfere with
Americans
commerce.
are like, yeah, Boston Tea Party.
Well, but that's the frustration. Is like everybody loves protests of the past. If you go back and look at polling numbers, like during the civil rights movement,
Yeah.
people were not down.
No.
People were not down at all, right?
Yeah.
And so my plea to people is like be in the streets, but also like be in that freaking ballot box in 2018 because the midterms. There's 33 seats up in the Senate in 2018. The Democrats are defending, I think, 20,
That's a lot.
right?
Yeah.
And like, Florida. So Democrats are defending seats in Florida, in Ohio, in Indiana, in West Virginia. Yeah, if you look at the top. By the way, I'm in my stuff right now because this is what I teach.
No, go,
No,
please.
trust me. This is
If
good.
you look at the
This is
top
good.
10 most likely to be flipped seats using current turnout models in 2018, 9 of them are Democratic seats. That's a filibuster-proof majority for the Republicans. Like, if you're concerned about Trump and Trumpism and like, we have to organize locally and we have to turn out not just for every 4 years, but in midterms and in primaries. And we have to elevate and promote Republicans who are like reasonable, like Evan McMullen, like Chris Vance. Like here's the thing is, there's no ideas on the left anymore. I don't read Paul Krugman. Krugman's had no new thoughts in 15 years.
Opposition.
I read David Brooks. Like, David Brooks has his pulse on what is happening in America. He saw this coming, and like we need to listen to those Brooks conservatives. God. And by the way, 16-year-old me would find 37-year-old me right now and punch him in the face for this.
But like, you should vote for shit that you care about. And the problem is people go, that's a Republican, no, instead of actually grasping what that
I
person
know-
cares about.
But look at how many states where Trump won, but like marijuana won and the minimum wage won.
And you're like,
and
that's weird.
Seriously.
Right?
Right?
Okay, Mark wants to ask a question on the AG in a minute. I want to come back to Mark. Okay,
Sure.
'Cause to me, that's a huge win. Like, my wife called me, and then I like pulled over and like started to cry excitement,
Yeah.
and then had picked somebody up, and then we'll come back. I want to come back to AG.
Yep.
Punch a Nazi. Are you good for or against?
I don't endorse punching Nazis. Like I'm not going to say, like, as someone who teaches teaches young adults, I'm not going to sit here and say that you should punch Nazis.
Yep.
But like, I'd be lying if I didn't say I watched that video many times. And by the
many.
Richard Spencer, if you're looking right now, you are a punk, and you can't take a punch.
Yeah.
And I
let's go.
still haven't
Let's go.
seen the rich girl version of it. I want to see the rich girl
No,
version of
the
it.
best is like
But-
when it's mixed in with music.
Yeah.
Oh,
Right?
dude,
Like
yeah.
there's
So
one.
many. Shout out to the
It's like,
Sexy
oh
Doctor.
man.
Okay,
Eye of the Tiger.
Yeah, exactly. But no,
Let's
no,
go.
Sure.
Now we're gonna joke. I'm making a joke, but I want to back
that's
up.
to the point, though, right? Is like, all Republicans aren't Nazis, and there's people on the left that act like they are.
Exactly.
And so, actual Nazis, punch them, but like, don't treat everybody who disagrees with you because
Like a
they're
Nazi,
one degree
yes.
this
Yeah,
way,
right.
like a Nazi.
Exactly.
And that's like the temperature thing we need to lower in politics.
Yep.
You know what? I've been guilty of it in the past, but like I
am.
my eyes are
today.
open to it right now. That like
I
I
think
need.
that a lot of people's eyes are.
But it's
on
actually
what happened.
happening. I would say now the difference I see is having, having lived in Seattle almost 10 years now and having grown up in, I'd say, a relatively white area in New Jersey, but depending on which town I lived in,
Right.
I was in the 10%, the 20%, just having seen that evolve. I think right now, what's interesting is to watch people who've been, for lack of a better term, living in their own little ivory tower for their whole life go, holy shit, this is a real thing?
Yeah.
My friends have been discriminated against. Like,
Yeah.
that's happening in a way where it's not like on television and you feel for character
Yeah, man.
X or something like that. Now it's like your neighbor or you across
Yeah.
the table or
Yeah.
5
whatever
blocks
it
from
is.
my house.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
like
that was crazy, by the
Dude,
way.
like
I was
that,
like, oh man.
That as it was, I was
And, like,
already
I-
wanting to like be more involved in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
And
It
now
just
I'm like,
sucks.
oh,
It just
freaking
sucks
A.
that we had to get to that point where it had to
Yeah.
be that close to home.
Yeah.
Well, but and so a point that I'll make is, again, another way the left did this himself is that where were the protests for the last 8 years? Barack Obama got elected, and the left went, oh, everything's great, got a Democrat in the White House, and meanwhile, they were decimated at the local level.
Right.
There were no marches. There were no, think about how critical people were on the left about the drone war under Bush. Obama accelerated the drone program, crickets, right?
Don't tell people that.
I'll
Yeah.
admit,
He
I was that guy.
He
I
did
was that
deport
guy.
a
'Cause
lot
again,
of people.
Oh, man.
Vote
Yep.
for
He
the
deported
shit you believe
a lot
in.
of people,
Yep.
man.
I'm fully in that, and that's
Yep.
on me.
Yeah.
Which is the only positive, if I look at everything here as a positive,
Yep.
is that this election is causing us to. My daughter's 13.
Yep.
She will hopefully never rest on her laurals because she saw
Well,
where
she's
we
seen
are.
some swings.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Well, but here's the danger of this moment, though. If you look back over American history, great periods of political change happened under unified government. So essentially, like the three major periods of change in America are Lincoln, when all the Democrats are part of secession, you get three amendments, right? FDR, right, when he has massive majorities, you get the New Deal. And then Johnson, when he comes in after Kennedy, get the Great Society, creation of da-da-da-da-da. The Republicans have an opportunity, a once-in-a-generation opportunity, with all the facets of government.
No, but can't.
That's
no,
scary.
No, but in a good way. I don't want to cut you off.
No, you're fine.
But my take on this is for them to go, hey guys, let's back the fuck up about 3 steps and go, hey guys, we all can kind of believe in our stuff. Here's the box we all want to live in. We actually have some policy, whereas
that's
as opposed to we're opposing shit.
That's not what
which
Paul
is
Ryan's going for there. Like Paul Ryan wants to turn.
No, Paul Ryan does.
We're deep in the woods right now, but like Paul Ryan wants to turn Medicare and Medicaid into vouchers, and the people that's going to harm are low-income people living in da-da-da. Like as somebody married to an asthmatic, like
Yeah.
It's gonna be basically if you're really good with your books, if you're really good with money, if you're educated, you're gonna be okay.
Yeah.
And a whole lot of bunch of people, like the families that I grew up in,
Yep.
you know, living on lunch food, government lunch
Or all
food
like-
program.
Yep.
Hi.
You know,
or the parents of my students who I'm trying to hold accountable and getting like, how do you do what you need to do in your 6-period day at school when everything back home is in chaos?
Yeah.
Right? Like
Completely.
I can tell you 100 stories about kids who are doing really, really awesome, and then something bad happens at home and they plummet, or vice versa, kids who are struggling and then they get stabilized and they soar. Like, there are so many policy initiatives. Okay, the one thing that we haven't got our head around yet is that Trump promised rural, white, low-income America like a restoration.
Right.
He's coming for their health care, right?
Yep.
Housing policies are going to come.
Yep.
Day
and,
one.
And his nominee for Secretary of Education is a choice person. And what happens when you have choice in rural schools is a rural area has one school. If kids flee that one school,
Yeah, but I don't think they know.
no, they don't. They
have
don't.
no idea.
They don't.
But
no
like,
idea.
I know how it happens.
But
But I
then
spent this much
they
time.
don't. But
like,
we can't look at them and go, "You're stupid. You're
that's
so
the
dumb."
play.
Like,
And that's really hard to unfortunately not do in the like Twitter world
Yes.
that we all live in. And like I find myself as much as some days I'm almost happier to just yell at political officials. But when I want to make a general statement, I find I delete it 67 times before I ever post anything because it gets rough.
I want to go back to
gonna
Eileen's
go back to that
comment.
question?
I do. I want to go back to that comment because people are asking for this.
Seriously.
So I'm gonna let Mark ask the question. I'm trying to find it here real quick though. I got it. You got okay. Mark's got it. So I'm gonna let Mark ask the question. I want to come back to this and
is
we're
this Eileen, the travel monkey? Eileen?
yes,
Okay,
yes.
great.
And we're probably not. I'm gonna just call it now. We're probably not gonna ask you the SonarFeed questions tonight.
Okay.
We might still do it, but like
could
this
ask,
is maybe
I mean,
the
the
first
important ones.
time. Like there's more. There's
Sure.
more important.
We could ask
By the way,
Yeah.
Eileen, thanks for all you do. You're amazing.
We might
Yeah,
still,
she
but I'm
is.
just saying we.
Shout out to you.
Anyways, there's too
Eileen.
much good going on.
All right, so a couple part question here. First part is your thoughts on the AG's lawsuit.
Yeah.
And then the follow up to that is your thoughts on Judge Robart's opinion and
3-part.
huh?
When we have arguments tomorrow.
And third part where you think arguments will go.
So, look, first of all, I'm just going to declare something I'm noticing is Bob Ferguson is running for governor of Washington
Yeah,
State.
no question.
And Jay Inslee's running for president or vice president.
Pretty
Like,
obvious.
That's happening right now.
Yeah.
I actually don't think people notice that. It's
Wait. Say
totally
that one more time.
Yeah.
Just-
Sure.
I want one more
the
time.
attorney general is running for governor,
Governor.
and Jay Inslee is running for either president or vice president.
for sure.
Like if he's basically setting himself. So here's the thing is that Democrats do best with governors because governors don't have the political baggage, right? Jay is setting himself up right now. Sorry, Governor Inslee, my bad, Jay, is setting himself up as the foil, as like the leading like anti-Trump voice from the governorships because California's got its own kind of like thing going on, and you have Kamala Harris in the Senate, and so that. I believe so. So that's all happening right now.
And
Chair of the
I can
Governors
also
Association. Comment off to her.
I don't know whether I can really do this, but can sort of confirm a friend of mine that used to work for Inslee.
Yeah.
She spoke specifically about this. We had lunch the other day,
Yeah.
and she said he's in second term, so he can't be reelected anyways. And now gloves are off. He can do what he wants.
Yep.
And now when you're going to make a play for something like that, like an upper office,
Yeah.
So to the question, right? I'm always fascinated because people who are conservative love checks and balances, separation of powers, talk about the Constitution, right?
Right.
And they also love states' rights. So here you have both. You have a state taking its right and suing the federal government because people in the state and business in the state are being inconvenienced, impacted disproportionately, or being impacted by the executive order. Okay. On top of that, you have a argument about like what's the proper role of the court, right? The Constitution doesn't talk a lot about this. Like all the power of the federal government or the federal courts to overturn laws are based on case precedents. So like it starts with Meijer versus Madison. Meijer versus Madison's like 1803. It establishes the principle of judicial review. And so there's nowhere in the Constitution where it talks about the Supreme Court and federal courts being able to overturn executive orders because that was not part of the equation. So here's how this shakes out. Of course, in Washington State, this Republican opponent judge found with the state. Like that
I emphasize that again.
right? So
Republican
appointed judge, right? It's going to get appealed to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. The Ninth Circuit is the most liberal circuit in America, but also the most frequently overturned by the Supreme Court. But the Supreme Court's 8-8 right now.
That's right.
And so the question is, when does this make it to the court? Does it make it to the
But
court?
can't you go straight?
Well, if
No, it has to go through
So
this.
after tomorrow, it can either be like reheard
Yep.
or straight to Supreme
well,
Court.
there's the rule of four. So AP, this is awesome now. So the rule of four.
We're in the weeds and we like these weeds,
Okay,
so go.
the rule of four, the principle of granting cert, right? If 4 judges say we want to hear this case, they can pull it up. Do the conservative judges want to pull this case up while it's 4-4?
No.
Nope.
Right. Or exactly,
Do-
Stephen. Or
Stephen busted out with
the,
Kennedy.
the real question is what does Anthony Kennedy think? Because he's the swing judge. So every election since 56, whoever wins Ohio wins the election. Anthony Kennedy is the Ohio of the Supreme Court. What does Anthony Kennedy think? If Anthony Kennedy thinks that this executive order is unconstitutional, then it's done. Like essentially, we have one person. We have one person who's going to decide every court case for the next.
Oh my God, a few months.
Where's Kennedy?
yeah.
Well, even and beyond.
But do you
When it's
where
fi-
do you think he is?
So Anthony Kennedy's a Reagan appointee. I can't imagine that Anthony Kennedy is sitting here going like, you know what, Donald, you're dope. Like I think that.
Well, he's
I think the executive order is not going to stand. I think, but like,
from his lips to God's ears, whichever God's that baby.
like I don't think it's going to stand. But there's going to be a lot of court cases that are going to stand. Like we're in for 4 years, possibly 8 years of a lot of lawsuits. And like I'm really proud that Washington is at the forefront. I'll tell you this. So the State Teachers of the Year, we have a Facebook page that we go on, and I went on there and I was like, look at Washington State out saving the Republic. Like this is ground zero for resistance.
Yeah. Ground zero it is.
Yeah, very proud of that. Yeah.
LFG.
And here's the thing also is like,
Asking that. Who thought it was going to come from Washington?
right. No,
Raise your hand.
I oftentimes
people.
don't do like I don't do the not my president thing, but like he's actually not my president. My precinct voted not for him.
Yeah.
My city voted not for him. My county voted not for him. My state voted not for him. My time zone voted not for him. I live in the city of Tacoma where I have a female mayor, a female school superintendent, 2 female senators. Like I
just my struggle with the arguments that people make about Jewish people or gay people or black people or whatever in the government now or related to the government is my daughter is following Shabbat right now and we have Ben Carson and whatever. And like, to be blunt, it's the like, I have black friends of everything. And I look at it and I actually want to kind of wake up from it. And I feel like I'm exaggerating too much, but then I wake up the next day and I'm like, no, I still feel this way.
mouthful of food. tell them to listen to their black friends. Like, it's one thing to have black friends. Listen to them. Like, I'm eating on microphone right now. I don't
Go
care.
ahead. Go
It's
ahead.
the same
Please.
thing about brown
Please.
friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen to
Yeah.
them. Listen to your brown friends on immigration. Listen to your black friends about law
Do it.
enforcement.
Do it.
Listen to them. Then don't check a box like, oh, I have a black friend.
Right.
Shut the hell up with that.
No, but like it feels like we're operating a national government on that right now. It's, well, I'm not racist because there's a black person that happens to maybe work for the government until I'm super pissed off about something he does. And my daughter knows Jewish people. And you're like, I mean, I'm just going
Wait.
to say right here,
Well,
like,
so-
I get
so
it,
the
dude.
Kushners,
I get it, dude.
a company the Kushners work for,
Yeah.
were a client of mine multiple jobs ago.
Yeah.
The first thing I was asked to do for them when they were about to do a certain acquisition was, how do I remove the negative things about our family from Google? That was more than 10 years ago. Like, multiply that by 1 million right now, and that's where we are. And that's, like, people who are sitting in government briefings right now. Like, it's staggering.
One thing I'll say is like I don't call people racist at all, because like that's a conversation end and shut her down. What I'll say is that this policy you're supporting or this policy they're proposing will disproportionately impact these populations. That's a semantic shift, but it matters, right?
Yeah.
Like if I'm sitting here, the second I say, well, that guy over there is racist, like that conversation's over. There's a wall built. Dialogue is over. If I say that guy over there supports policies that are going to impact these populations in this way, there's room for a conversation,
Changes the
negotiation,
conversation.
right? It's a
Yeah.
different conversation.
Ooh, I'm gonna use
Actually,
that. I'm
starts
gonna
a
use that.
conversation.
Oh, use that, man.
No,
Please.
yeah, all
please.
day,
Yeah.
all day. I mean, I don't usually
Well,
go
and
out
frankly,
say
that
racist.
guy
Yeah.
won't see that coming.
No, they won't.
No.
That's totally it. Yeah,
Like
that's totally it.
this, so Jeff Sessions, right? Lots of people like Jeff Sessions is a bigot. Jeff Sessions supports policies that will disproportionately impact people of color around the drug war and around immigration
And voting.
and voting rights. Like that's the key, right? And his values, and he has black friends from Alabama. No, but his values are diametrically opposed to majority values in the United States from both Republicans and Democrats. Like he could not get confirmed by a Republican Senate in the 80s, right?
Right.
For real.
But the second you say Sessions is racist, all the R's in the
Yeah.
Senate and all the
We got your
no,
back.
he's not. He's
Yeah, we got his back.
because they've been called racist 1,000 times too.
Damn, you're flipping
So,
the script here right now, y'all. That's what you call flip the script.
yeah, if we wanted to give advice to folks out there today and say, what's the most, and Lisa asked this question, kind of, but
Yeah.
what civics lessons is the most important one that you want to teach or that you want to put forward here? What, besides being the guy that I'm gonna pause back up for a minute. I'm working for Uber and Lyft right now.
Yep.
That's my income.
Yep.
And I drive people, and I am a white, middle-aged male. I have extreme white privilege.
Yep.
I have 2 very good cars that I'm fortunate enough that I can put to use right now to make money to pay my bills. I'm not getting ahead of where I want to be.
Sure.
But I am in a place that is comfortable. I'm living a good life. When I have people in my car that are not white, not male, not privileged, and I talk to them, I bring that up and I say, I know that I have that white privilege. What can I do? Not just me. I'm
Sure.
framing it around me. But what do I do to make a change? What do I do to make a difference here? Like what? How do I have black friends.
Yep.
I have Mexican friends. I have lesbian friends. Whatever. But like what? I don't want to be that guy who
Sure.
says that.
You attempt to like experience
I got a
diversity.
caliente take on that.
Yeah.
After you
Oh no,
Yeah.
after you.
no! I love a hot take.
I
No,
do. I want
I love a
to.
hot take. Go
so
ahead.
Yeah,
a really
please.
good friend of mine, she's a teacher, civics teacher, high school,
What school?
Foster.
Okay. Wait. Yes. Sorry. Continue.
Yeah. So we went to a town hall meeting last week and met this amazing lady, retired teacher. She just chatted me up while I was waiting in line, and we ended up sitting together. And then she hung out and had drinks with us afterwards and chopped it up. And she's like, what? She asked the same question that you did, in essence.
Really?
And my friend said, it's time for white folks to step up. It's going to be up to you, the moderate, understanding, privileged white women, men, to turn the tide on the other, privileged female, male, white people.
That's not a hot take. That's brilliant, honestly.
Yeah, it's going to be super hard for us to convince that segment of society of how it's impacting, us.
I think one of the major
That's the way
things.
she put it.
No,
And that's brilliant.
No,
Yeah,
one
I
of the
agree.
major things that people need to listen, right? So it's not about what you say; it's about what do you hear from people. Like I spoke at a forum in Tacoma last weekend, and it was talking about like civility, and I asked the crowd, how come the police response to the Women's March wasn't what we saw in Ferguson, right? Like if 130,000 people of color decided to, so think about the Women's March. Like they had a permit for 50,000 and had 3 times that.
Yeah.
No problems with law enforcement. But like they
Like
were
zero.
they were
Like
blocking
zero.
but they were blocking multiple streets that they did not have permits for. No problems. If one group of black protesters blocks intersection, like the 8th Army shows up, right? And so what I would say is one, listen.
Can I interrupt?
Sure.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
Yeah, you're fine.
But would you see that in Seattle? Maybe my white show. I'm just would you see that
Yes.
in Ferguson versus that?
Yes, yes.
If that had been a
I think about the Native American carver who was shot by the officer. Like, no,
I don't know, dude. Like, so I've lived in downtown Seattle since I moved here. So 09. I lived 4 blocks from Westlake Park. It's like a downtown joke. When, like, you could be sitting in Starbucks or wherever, and somebody's like, "Oh, someone's protesting again." Now, I don't know. Now shit's like, "Oh, what's the protest today? I might go." But at the same time, I feel like the makeup of the protest, unfortunately, still changes the reaction that you get.
And that's fine. And I'm okay with that answer.
Yeah.
I'm curious of in Seattle.
Yes.
And I'm talking about Seattle today. I'm not talking about Seattle 10, 15, 20 years ago.
although I will say, shout out to Chris Bowling, officer, love you, bro. Continue.
Is he related
Same
by
thing
chance?
to my boy
Yeah.
ST.
Yeah.
And honestly, Clayton Powell too. Love teaching your son Spencer.
Does our mayor of Seattle,
Yeah.
not down here, but does he change that dynamic a little bit? Does he make
The
a
U.S.
difference?
Department of Justice
Yeah.
has investigated and sanctioned the City of Seattle Police Department for some of their unconstitutional actions in the past, and many of the officers, very few officers, have left. There's been like training, whatever.
I'm gonna kick the effing piss out of you. Remember that guy?
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, like,
Okay.
I'm not anti-police.
No.
and,
Me
neither,
and actually,
me
one of
neither.
the problems is like I'm actually pro-police, and like I actually believe in all the things that police are supposed to stand for,
Right.
and they're pillars of the community. And so, like, when they don't rise to that occasion, I'm hurt by that. Like, all that said, if communities of all that said is if a group of brown protesters of that mass was marching through Seattle, there would have been tanks in the street. And so what I would implore people to do is to think about where are the communities of color where you live.
Mm-hmm.
How can you dialogue with them? How can you listen to them, which is more important than dialoguing? And then how, when they're struggling, can you advocate with them?
Right.
Like if 50-year-old white ladies showed up to the protest in Ferguson and stood there along with the black protesters, there would not have been violence. Like, period. Because
Yes.
the second the lights went out and it got dark, the police antagonized the protesters and basically initiated the violence. And they would not do that to this.
Fair enough. 175,000,
Yeah.
mostly white, because I drove a lot of people that day. Mostly white. Fair.
Yeah. Well, my wife pointed out there was a great sign. There was a sign basically in the crowd, and a woman of color was holding it, and it said, "Where were you all at the last Black Lives Matter march?"
Right.
Right?
I saw that. Something like that.
Yeah.
We must have been close. 'Cause I saw that.
I was at work, but my wife was. Yeah, but on it.
Yeah, that's another one that said.
Well, and so
Oh, you didn't
if you want
mention
to
white
jump
ladies,
back a couple conversations
come out.
from now or ago, Betsy DeVos is the current nominee for Secretary of Education. Like, she doesn't know education at all. Like, I'm more qualified for Secretary of Defense than she is Secretary of Education.
Me too.
Like, I was in the reserves for 6 years. Like, I'm literally more qualified for Sec Def
Would you like to play a game of
than
chess?
she is Ed. But here's the thing. Here's the thing is that she's actually probably the third most problematic nominee. Ben Carson's more problematic.
Oh.
And Sessions is way more problematic.
Yeah.
So
But here's
this
the-
is good because you brought this up on Twitter the other day.
But DeVos.
Let's talk about this.
DeVos is a threat to middle class white
White
mothers
people.
with kids who are disabled, and that's why there's the fervor, right? I take issue. That's why there's the fervor. Like, Sessions is a threat to people of color, immigrants, people of color, immigrants. Humanity. But DeVos threatens suburban moms, and that's why the DeVos hello, we're gonna put Ben Carson. We're gonna put Ben Carson, brain surgeon, in charge of HUD, right? In charge of HUD. Like, what the
But like,
actual
did he
F?
roll dice? No, I'm being totally serious.
Yeah.
How did that happen? But really,
There's some research that like there's some articles that
Well, yeah,
Trump,
exactly. He's because he's black, and
He-
Trump thinks he knows urban people because he's black.
He also
I'm
wanted
sorry.
No, he also wanted Hispanic Latino for agriculture. Yeah. Like he wanted one. If you look at like
Whoa. What?
And he
Like-
didn't get one, but yeah.
He's not racist, though.
So how do I plant a tomato tomorrow? Can you tell me?
Right?
Right,
You
but
know?
Latino people
Like, I'm joking, but I'm
also
not. I mean-
happen
Amazon
to
Prime,
work
Amazon
for all of the companies in the U.S.
right.
that currently bring us grapes and strawberries and whatever. Oh, that sounds like a good idea.
Yeah.
Got it. It's like we drew a line. Yeah.
I love your thinking face, by the way. I would have loved to have you in class. No, my favorite thing. No, my favorite thing in the world.
Some
is
people
is
like-
to look at a kid and see him be like,
Thoughts going
He
through
just
their
called me a
head.
child.
no,
I-
He would've had- he would've
I
loved
know
that.
you all have.
you know, your face is so just like, and your but the fact that you're
Someone
no,
please get
I'm
that
dead
or
ass
tip
serious
that,
right now.
whichever you
No, I know,
The
right,
fact
I
that you're
know.
pondering it means that you're on the right path.
Right. No, and I.
And but it's fine to not have the answers right now.
Yeah.
Because only assholes have all the answers. Like you're pondering it.
Oh wait, no, it's right over there. Yeah. No.
Sorry, I was going to swear on the microphone. Dang it. Oh well.
You did a good
all
job,
right.
though. You made it like an hour and a half.
Yeah, he did.
Okay. This is a question a little bit off topic, but on
Sure.
topic. Do any of your students know that you're doing this tonight? First of all,
There's probably a handful because a handful of kids follow at Nate Bowling as well.
okay. Any special comments or thoughts you're dropping tonight that would be considered extra credit for your class? Besides, go to bed.
Who asked this question? Who asked this question?
What do you think, Brendan Vaughn?
Okay, good.
Yeah. Not a-
like is this Michaela?
Michaela, do your homework.
Shout out to Michaela.
Shout out to Michaela.
Yeah, exactly.
So there are rings of engagement with the students, right? And so like some students come in my classroom after school and they get a little more exposure to like the bowling brain or whatever.
Yeah.
But as far as extra credit goes, like hell nah. Like their job is to. I believe that politics is like a language, right? And their job is to immerse themselves in the language, and that's why I'm constantly like tweeting out articles for them to read.
Yep.
If kids are listening right now, like great, but nah, this is just Nate and the boys.
Nate and the boys.
Hashtag jackets off.
Do you have a kid now or a kid in the last few years that you're like, yeah, and it's not that they're better than anyone else, but like they've got their eyes on something, and that you like we've all been like, oh, I played Little
see it.
League and I was
Yeah.
good and
Yeah.
I hit 478
Yeah.
my senior year. Like, do you have that student?
I don't want to name any current
no,
students
of course not.
for
to
Big
do that.
Egos, but I will say that like I have the future senator from the state of Washington, and she's a senior at Gonzaga right now, and like she's one of the most impressive kids I've ever like dealt with in my entire life, and she is gonna absolutely slay it, and she's a passion for justice. Late last year, I got invited to Spokane to a panel do a panel, and I was like, I don't want to talk about my classroom. I'm bringing students, and like my kids talk about my classroom and like learning, and I invited her on the panel, and like just knowing that I had a formative role in her understanding of the world and like where she's headed to, yeah, like she's gonna run this state one day.
Noise.
That's awesome.
Noise.
Yeah, that's.
Let's go.
So I know, like 20 minutes, half hour ago, I said we weren't going to do the SonarFeed questions, but
Sure.
I don't think we can do not.
Let's do them. Let's do them. I promise I can do rapid fire.
Okay.
Like it. I like it.
Aaron?
That's how it should be.
We got that. We'll get that.
Yes, we will. Biggie or Tupac?
Biggie. Like Pac made some really dumb stuff that like he knew better than.
East Coast.
Like I'm like, come on, man, Biggie.
Okay.
Favorite kind of taco?
Carnitas.
Carnitas.
Come on, man.
Good call.
Like carnitas. Like
Get
that-
the last taco you ate, though.
carnitas. Like
Like, nice.
Sticks to his
Yeah.
crispy fried pork all day.
all day. Tweet that. Tweet that.
So here, let's make a list of things. Let's make a list
If
of
you were to
things.
break that down phonetically.
Let's make a list of things that are better than fat pork meat. Nothing.
Nothing. Zero.
Like, nothing.
Nothing. Okay.
Last book you read.
Ooh, last book I read. I'm finishing right now the new Jim Crow by Michelle Alexander.
Okay.
Which is like a massage in reverse. It just rubs tension into your shoulders. It talks about the prison industrial complex.
Post that on Twitter, please.
And the idea that like there are more people in prison right now for non-violent drug offenses than there were in prison for anything in 1980. That's another good one.
Slavery by Another
A
Name.
friend of mine is sending me a copy of a book called Just Mercy, which is a similar tale. It's the whole like private prison industry is one of the saddest aspects of the last 20 years of American history, and I feel like we were making progress on that for the last 8 years, and I feel like that Trump and Sessions
Yeah,
are
door swung.
a full sprint backwards the other way. I don't know. I say favorite stat, but like it's like least favorite stat. It's what makes you cry. Is that like at any given point, 1 in 9 African American males between the ages of 14 and 35 is incarcerated, and then 1 in 9.
Dumb.
And then
Yeah,
of that
terrible.
1 in 9 who are incarcerated, then 1 in I think 14 is under super. Like it's the stats are staggering and stupid and terrifying and everything else. Like we imprison more people as a percent of population than any nation in the world does. And like we can say that, but not only do we do that, but if I said lightning round, it's not happening apparently.
No, go for it.
All the
Keep going.
stats say that black people, white people, brown people, beige people use drugs at the same rate. I remember in high school, like the white suburban parties where all the drugs were at, saved the money. Okay,
Yeah, me too.
who gets the longer prison sentences? Who gets caught? So if you're a black male, you're 14 times more likely to be arrested for drug anything than a white male engaging in the exact same behavior. Like, and there's one of my favorite aspects of the Obama presidency was how many people he let out of prison on clemency for nonviolent offenses.
Yep.
That's not happened in the next 4 years.
No.
And there's no restructuring to sentencing coming in the next 4 years either.
Do you think he'll make it 4 years? Do you really, honestly, in the heart of hearts, think he'll make it 4 years?
That's not a SonarFeed question.
The
no,
Republicans,
I like it.
the
Yeah, I like
Republicans
it.
will not vote to impeach him as long as he's useful to them.
At some point, though, doesn't he become? No, yeah. Doesn't he? Some point he turn around? I mean, because he's doing. He's almost out of turn. I think even for the far right.
He's doing his executive order thing right now.
Yeah.
The Republicans are going to start pushing bills out of Congress,
Yeah.
and like when he's signing these things that Paul Ryan
I
wants,
hope
then
so
like
too, man.
Well, no, he's signing them blindly. That's
Yeah.
fine. I get it because he doesn't read. But like at some point,
Yeah.
doesn't he? No, we agree with that.
No,
he can't read.
Yeah.
But I'm just
Well,
saying.
we're all in on he can't read.
But doesn't at some point?
Oh,
at some point,
snap.
Shots just arrived.
Yeah.
A bunch of shots.
I'm not
yeah.
going to partake, by the way,
you
kids.
are
Don't
not.
worry.
Don't worry. Nate.
School's
Someone
opening
get
2
that.
hours late
Someone
tomorrow.
get
It was funny. Nate.
So anyway,
all of a sudden was off the air for like 30 seconds. It's weird. And then we have no more shots left. But okay, so you don't want to like, but
He's saying it's not going to happen.
okay.
He is going to be president.
Favorite
of-
Girl Scout
4
cookies.
years.
What are the ones with peanut butter in the middle again?
Tagalongs.
Tagalongs. Yeah, tagalongs.
Chocolate peanut butter.
Can I-
Fuck yeah.
Can I say I take my tagalongs and I dip them in peanut butter like a fat ass?
Yes.
Yeah.
oh, actually, I'm
So
with that.
Thank you.
okay.
Yeah.
So
Tagalongs.
we
Peanut butter.
peanut butter.
What am I, a savage?
Also accurate.
You got one?
So we bought.
Sir, your manner
A question?
Your manner
Or a
offends.
shot?
We bought marshmallows today,
Yeah.
and I took a knife.
Yeah.
And I spread peanut butter around my marshmallow. And ate my marshmallow with peanut butter.
You're gonna have diabetes. That's fine. You know, do
I'm
you?
not. Have you met
just
me?
digging a hole.
I lived
You're digging
through
holes
this.
here,
I'm
man.
gonna
All
live
right.
forever.
Let's ask
that's
some more
right.
questions.
Oh, yeah.
Let's ask more questions.
Lightning round. Sorry.
Okay.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Last thing that you spent $100 or less on that's important to you, like that made a dent.
And then while you're thinking of that, do you want me to like hide this while we do this?
No, we're good. I'm just
Are
gonna,
you-
I'm just gonna go over and eat some pizza.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay.
The last thing I spent $100 or less on that made a
like-
difference to me.
Yeah, we all spent $100 on something. You're like, I don't want to buy that.
Sure.
But like,
Sure.
something that's
I,
important.
I had a couple of students. No, I had a couple of students.
I don't have $100
in my building
but-
who put up a Black Lives Matter mural, and they were really proud of it. And they got some serious pushback, and they were in my room like crying about it. And I bought them dinner, and that was
Well done.
Done. Let's go.
By the way, what did I buy them? Carnitas.
Let's go.
Oh my god.
Damn.
Fucking A. God damn.
Well
it.
done.
My-
It's
What
teach,
is,
we teach is relational, right? And like if you show kids you love them, they'll do whatever you want them to do, and that's like. Oh, where from? La
from?
Fondita, the taco truck by Lincoln
La
High School.
Fondita.
Yeah.
You guys heard it.
Yeah.
What is something, you may have already answered this, but what is something that you believe in that others think is crazy?
That's a great question for you.
I actually believe in the 14th Amendment. Like, if you think about like what the 14th Amendment says, it's one of the Reconstruction Amendments. It has due process, equal protection. It's actually one of the most solemn promises humanity has ever made to itself. Like the idea that we're going to treat everybody equally under the law is, I believe that, and that's why I'm so like active about things like the current situation with mass incarceration, the war on drugs, the housing segregation. It all is a departure from the spirit of the 14th Amendment. Like I maybe I'm crazy, but like I actually believe in these documents. That's why I went into the military. That's why I teach. Like I believe in the spirit of these documents, and I don't know. I'm a dreamer, I guess, but that's I believe in it.
Dope. Love it.
The dreamer policy.
Yeah.
Is that one of the hardest policies that was enacted and then discarded? Like ever?
I'm going to answer a different question.
Okay.
30 years from now, we're going to look back, maybe 40 years from now, we're going to look back on the way that we treat undocumented students.
Yeah.
The same way we look back on the Japanese internment.
Amen.
Like it is.
Drop this mic.
Like,
Let's. I'm out
and
of here.
I'm not saying they're
Now.
I'm not saying they're equivalent offenses, but like we're going to look back on it as and say like, how could we have been so unjust to people who did nothing wrong? Like we are.
Let's go.
Like we're punishing children who committed no crime, come to our country and done everything right. They go to school, they go to church, they get jobs and they get mistreated by their bosses, and like we say to them, no, you can't have what our kids have because you got brought here when you were 5 months old. Like it is one of the most egregious examples of just like stupidity and arrogance, and in the future we will look back at it and we will just go like, what the hell were we thinking? And like here's the equivalent is that 150 years ago, like leeching was top of the line medicine. We all look back on leeching and go, what the F were the doctors thinking, leeching people?
How many people here have ever had a leech on them?
I've seen one in real life.
A leech.
Hard pass.
A leach.
No.
No. Has anybody
I've
here
seen
ever
one.
Had a, you had
I
a
didn't
leech?
want it.
I'm not talking about for medical purposes. Who has ever had a leech on them ever?
No.
Okay. So
That's
no.
Hey-o.
Wow. I'm not talking about those that you may not been married to before. An actual physical leech. Anybody here? You had?
No, sir.
You had? So have I. At Otsego Lake in Michigan, you get in the water and you go into a certain depth and the leeches are there. Otsego.
Not Oswego.
Yeah. Not Oswego. Not Oregon. I'm talking Michigan. Like northern Michigan. And they're not fun.
Yeah.
So
No,
the
of
fact
course
that
not.
people put those on their body for like fun, to
On
medicine.
purpose.
On purpose. No.
Well, no, and think about like during the Mad Men era, doctors saying,
Yeah.
I smoke these because, like, we will look back
Yeah.
on this policy that way with the same shame and here's the sad part is there will people who are like, you know what, you're right, who support this nonsense right now.
Yeah.
That's the thing, is the people who, whenever I see pictures of the civil rights movement and like civil rights protests, I don't look at the protest. I look at the person in the background who's like leering and sneering at the person and know that like a lot of them are still alive walking around.
Yeah.
And like they may want to tell a tale to their kids about da-da-da, but like, nah, Grammy was a bigot.
So one of our longtime contributors here is big into shoes. Big into kicks.
Shoe Kyle.
Shoe Kyle.
Yeah.
Nope. Not
also
shoot.
Matt Oak.
Yeah.
A Gervon Zero on Twitter.
Well,
Or as I
Future
call him,
Kyle.
Gervano.
yeah. Wait, it's not Gervano?
That's what I say.
I learned something new.
Gervin Zero.
Gervin Zero. I call him Gervon O in
Who
my
knew?
thing. 'cause
Who knew?
Yeah. Or Kyle.
Anyway.
Shoe Kyle. What are your favorite kind of kicks?
So I teach and take 15,000 steps a day. And so for me, it's about comfort. Campers, they're like Spanish made. Like you can walk you can walk forever in them.
I bought
honestly.
a pair.
Yeah.
Do they own?
In
do they make
France.
sandals?
Baller.
Stop
Really?
it.
I didn't.
Follow up.
Straight there.
Follow up.
Socks and sandals.
Socks and sandals.
I'm sure they do, but like, but campers. Like, I buy a pair every 3 years basically,
Yeah.
and I wear and work every day, and I put 15,000 a day on them, and I never think about my feet at all.
Socks and sandals.
No, the campers, socks and
No,
sandals.
no. How do you feel? I'm going to the next
He's
question.
just blowing you off.
I know he is.
Socks and sandals.
I know he's trying to be respectful.
So here's the thing: is like, I understand Birkenstocks and wool socks, but like, no. Yeah, actually, I don't. Actually, no. No. You're right. You're right. I was trying to hard pass.
Guys,
Hard
Nate
pass.
Bowling shattered.
I know.
Hard pass.
Do you remember that time I used to like that guy?
That's fine.
No.
No, you actually still like
if
him.
socks
I
and-
do.
No,
You
I
want
still
me
love
back,
him.
but
No,
after
I don't
Cool
like you, I
America, I
love
was
you,
like,
but-
If socks and sandals cause a breakup, then like so be it. Because like, nah, it's wrong. It's wrong.
Well, I'm gonna wear them. Is that gonna
no,
cause a breakup?
You're
If
free to
Trump
be wrong.
wore socks and
Wow.
sandals, would you vote for him?
Nope.
Yeah, Trump likes socks and
This
sandals.
question's not here.
No, he
but-
does not. There's no proof. Fake. That's fake news. Alternative facts.
Fake news. Hashtag fake news.
Alternative facts, Nate. Don't do that to me.
Question is not here, but a couple people mentioned it here and there, and you may have already answered it online.
Yeah.
But who made you more nervous, Obama or Bill Gates?
Wait, no. Before you answer that question.
Sure.
Or just answer that question.
No, before you
Yeah.
answer that question. Why is this the favorite thing you've ever done?
Panel
no, I'm
slash podcast slash get together.
He's like,
No, I'm
hashtag I'm out.
Here's the important thing. I've had a hell of a 24 months. And so, like, actually, what made me more nervous than either one of those was when Chinese President Xi came to my classroom. So, like,
That's yeah.
so with that, I had American Secret Service, Chinese Secret Service, and like my students on display. And it was September. And so, like, we hadn't established all the core routines and stuff, but my kids were super dope. And so, like, I had a conversation with the Chinese president, like, through a translator, and then, like, spoke, like, a little of the 5 Chinese words that I knew. And that made me more nervous. With Bill Gates, it was dope, because, like, I met Gates the day after the Brexit vote. And so, like, I walked in his office, and, like, photo, and we started just chopping it up. And, like, at one point, his staff goes, this is supposed to be an education conversation. But, like, we talked Brexit forever. And then Obama, like, me and Obama was dope. It was dope. But, meeting Biden was better. Like, Uncle Joe, man. Like, Uncle Joe
real
is
deal?
Like, Uncle Joe
So you're
threatened
saying the Liquid Swords tweet is real?
I'm saying that
Because I live life believing.
I think no. Joe Biden threatened to fight. No, he threatened to fight the New Mexico Teacher of the Year.
Oh.
Like, threatened to fight him in his house. Like, Joe Biden was like, "I'll kick your ass." I was like, "Whoa!" No, I've had a charmed life. I don't get nervous about that kind of stuff anymore
That's
because,
the first
like,
guest I've ever heard. I've had a charmed life. I love it.
I'm never going to see these people again, and they're not going to remember me. Like, I'm.
Oh, bullshit. They know
You-
Nate. They talk about
Barack
Nate
is not
for-
sitting with Michelle right
yes,
now.
he is.
Hey, you know what?
Barack's watching
Where's
right
that
now.
mumbly guy from Washington State? He was awesome. Like, nah, like,
He's the future president.
please, nope.
Don't go there.
No,
The VP?
I'd rather be shot than run for office. Like, fundraising.
No, don't say
Fundraising
that.
and doorbelling sound very, very gross to me.
Actually, don't say that, though.
No, for real.
I would take an appointment.
I will pledge to fundraise for you and raise you the money.
Done.
To make it happen. We collectively
Nah.
will do that part. You do the work.
So here's the thing.
I'm good at the other shit. You're good at that.
My place right now
is where you are.
is
I
room
agree.
306.
I agree.
And my place for the
Yes.
near future is room 306.
I agree.
After that, who knows? But like, when I was a kid, I wanted to be Senate Majority Leader. Like, I really did. And like, I had all like rationale behind it. Like, but like, electoral politics right in this moment.
When you're ready,
Holla
I
at your boys.
will
Holla.
do that
right.
for all day long.
So
like for
not,
real.
Not on the script again.
Not that you want
but,
me
like,
on your team.
Do you want like 50 years in room 306? Really?
No. So working in a low income school is all consuming, and I don't want to stick around longer. Like, one of the saddest things is seeing somebody in the classroom who's been there past their sell by date.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right?
Yep.
I've been teaching for 11 years. I've been at Lincoln for 8 years. If I close my eyes, do I see myself at Lincoln when I'm 50? No. And so at some point, I might go abroad. At some point, I might say, you know what, I'm going to work in a less demanding job, a less demanding teaching job, or I might do policy work. I got a job offer in D.C. that blew my mind. This last week actually, and so
But you're 29, so we have a long time with you in the. We have 21 years at least.
I'm 37.
I know. I know. But you're 29. It is. All right. Professor.
College, like non-PhD, like guest faculty pay is not what you think it is.
Well, no, I know that.
Sure.
I'm just saying the opportunity
I
that level.
That's a no. That's a no.
All right.
I like the kids, man.
Nope.
Like
Let's-
I don't like children, but I like the kids.
Let's do a cheers to Nate,
Cheers.
to education,
To everybody here that
knowledge.
joined us.
To knowledge.
Don't
Seriously,
mind me.
thanks
I'm
for-
going
No,
to
no.
sneeze now.
You go sneeze.
Yeah,
Go
sneeze.
sneeze. Go sneeze. Everybody else. Everybody
Salute.
else. Salute.
Salute, y'all.
Bless you.
Hey, Nate.
That's so tight.
Go back to the.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. This is an important question.
Yeah,
You go sneeze. You go sneeze while I'm thinking of this question.
No.
Or
I'm focused on this question.
who would play you in a movie about your life?
Oh, nice.
And this is a three-parter.
Wait,
Yeah.
This
the
is a
top
three-parter.
the top answer.
Hashtag not Denzel.
Because he's 61.
Wow.
The top answer to this question
Yeah.
is
Was by far was Steve Zakawani telling
answering
telling
for Eddie
Johnson.
Johnson.
That he was Wesley Snipes.
that's
By
the top
far
answer.
ever.
So
Live,
just
live,
FYI.
okay, live.
No, so here's the funny thing is that we've actually had this conversation because John Kitna, the NFL quarterback,
Yeah.
he came back to he went to Lincoln High School.
Yeah.
He came back and worked there for a couple of years. When that was going on, we were like, when they make the Kitna movie, who's gonna play? Who's gonna play? Omar Epps.
Good answer. Okay.
That's a dog. That's
The
a solid
your favorite historical figure that you identify with. This is a three-part question. You're
Yeah.
on number 2. You know where I'm going next, but
Yep.
well, you don't know where I'm going next. You do.
There was no fucking Hamilton joke here.
No, there's no Hamilton. No Hamilton.
stop.
No. This is a Matthew question
Oh,
that
I
he
know.
brought to the.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Wow, I'm pondering this one now a little bit. Oof.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ain't I?
and we love it.
Sherman. William Tecumseh Sherman. Like, not Richard.
I know. I was like,
No.
No,
he's still all right, man.
Sherman's march to the sea is basically one of the greatest undertakings of like military tactics and like logistics I've ever seen. And in many ways, like, I don't know. A lot of times people in education use war metaphors, and I don't love that. But I do believe that teaching is counterinsurgency, and you win hearts and minds first, right? So you win hearts, then minds. And Sherman's campaign, like if you read about it, is one of the most amazing. He's like, we're going to live off the land and cut our way through, and we're going to win allies along the way, and we're also going to use brute force if need be. And that's kind of my personality.
Okay. Part 3.
Part 3.
If you were in a bouncy house with a historical figure, who would that historical figure be?
And it's like
This is a real question. No joke. This is like it's building up to it, but this is a real question.
A bouncy house with a historical figure, who would it be?
And this is we asked Casey Catherwood this question
Oh,
because
God.
of Matthew.
Sure.
Matthew is one of our friends. He's from the Tacoma area or
Yeah.
the South End.
Yeah.
He's a former member of the. He's also a veteran.
Yeah.
And is a good friend of the show. So
Okay.
he's the one who came up with this question.
I work at Lincoln High School, and so like,
Oh,
I think Abe.
damn.
I'm like, Abe. I would shop it with Abe. I'm like, Abe, tell me about the second inaugural. Like,
Yeah.
what were you going for with
Yeah.
that? Yeah, Abe.
Okay.
Nice.
Good.
have you've seen this, right?
Stop it.
The massive city,
Yes.
the response. So for the group, the Columbus Crew folks, when Atlanta was named to have United,
Yeah.
they sent a Dear Atlanta, welcome to Major League Soccer. Our warmest regards from your old friends in Ohio, and a picture of Sherman,
Yeah.
who, by the way, burned down the city of
In fact.
Atlanta.
Yeah.
In fact.
Yeah.
In real
Yeah,
life.
In real life. Yeah.
Maybe one of the best bants that we've seen.
Wow.
No,
In
no,
a
that's
while.
really good. That's
That is
really good.
Because you
Really
actually
good.
thought that, like, you had to do a little research.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, no, they didn't.
You're like,
they didn't.
you're like, oh, this is funny, military. Oh, shit, I just Googled that, and oh, that's messed up.
So we liked the Lincoln answer.
Yeah.
The audience. wanted you to say Joe
Joe
Biden.
Biden.
No, I would not go in a bouncy castle with Joe, but I would go for happy hour after the castle
Yes.
with Joe.
But like we need that meme. What is the dude on CNBC? What is his name? The crazy guy.
All of them.
Who does?
Yeah.
Who does?
You mean Larry
the one-
Kudlow?
No.
Jim
You know what I'm talking
Cramer.
about. Jim Cramer.
Yeah, Cramer, yeah.
Buy, buy, buy,
Cramer,
sell,
and it's
sell,
like, sell Lincoln, buy all the Joe Biden.
That's good.
You snorted.
I did. I started. I did.
You know when
I
things are
snorted.
getting good here. When he
All right.
does
Do we have
that.
any more questions? Because that was like the
I
longest.
mean, we probably have like
rapid-fire
70
round ever.
questions.
Anybody
but
from the crowd? Any questions from the crowd?
Wait. Hold on.
If you
What was
helped
one of those?
manage the Berliner,
What was,
what would your question be? Oh, hey. Yeah.
Lisa, what was one of the questions you sent in here?
Hold on. Did the Falcons Cougar?
Wow. Jeez. That's
Did the Falcons coup it yesterday?
That's, by the way, when you're supposed to put your hat back on.
Shade.
Yeah.
Shade. Shade.
I may have worn
Shade.
purple.
Did you just
today.
No, shade. Oh,
Shade.
So that's almost as funny.
Here's the thing: is
Awesome.
I watched the game, and I had the Falcons +3 as part of a 4-game parlay.
Oh,
Man,
Well, you lost the first three, though, right?
No.
Okay, no.
This is the first game.
I think that there's a reason why Atlanta United went out and signed some players today. Because Arthur Blank's like, I'm pissed and got money. Let's go. No, they didn't coug it. They like. Thank you. They. Yeah, the Cougs would never be that far ahead. That's actually totally true. Thank you, Dave.
Oh, damn.
But yeah, it couldn't be Couging it because it's a championship game, and the Cougs would never be in a title game. So, where's the lie? Where's the lie?
Hey, 98. Ryan Leaf. Man, he almost.
Ryan Leaf.
Wow.
We should end this show soon because I'm going to get inappropriate about Ryan Leaf, apparently.
I have a real question.
Okay, real question. Here you go.
This is from our friend Elias,
Yeah.
fellow teacher in Yakima,
Yeah.
Dry-Cider supporter. What does Nate think about GLAD strategies, and if he uses them, what strategies does he lean towards most?
These teaching questions are dope. As far as GLAD strategies go, my favorite is the CCD, which is a vocabulary thing. So basically, it's a strategy to teach kids vocabulary words through multiple inputs. And so I love a word study. I'll take a complicated word and break it down, right? So I'll say like, I don't know, chain migration, right? So like, what's the root of migration? Migrate. And so we take the word migration. So migrate means to move. Shin is a process. And then chain, what's chain? It's a link. And so we'll talk through it. And so for any complicated vocabulary in my classroom, we assign gestures to it and break the word down. And that's straight out of the GLAD handbook. My wife is actually an amazing teacher. Like, I think she's a better teacher than I am.
Side question, what does your wife teach?
She teaches in room 200 at Lincoln High School. I have 9-12. She has 10-11. Here's the thing: is like I'm compelling to kids, but she puts more work than I do into the actual instructional moves and whatever. Right? Her GLAD strategies are off the chart, and she's an amazing teacher when it comes to language learners. I don't really thrive with language learners. I thrive with the hard cases. Like, give me the belligerent kid who's like, I don't want to read. I'll teach them how to read and teach them how to love reading. But the answer to the question is the CCD.
CCD.
Yep.
So you ship
Excellent.
them to your wife for 2 years.
And then get 'em back.
You get them back
Nice.
at the end.
Yes.
And then you roll in the glory.
Honestly, hot
That's
take.
fucking awesome.
He knows what he's doing.
Where's the lie? Where's the lie?
I love it. Also, go Cougs. Never been 0-12.
Man.
All right.
Oh.
So I've got.
Well, we've never been 0-12, not under Tyrone Willingham. Asterisk.
So this lady named Hope asks, "How do you feel about a jackets on policy for playoff games in sub 24
Oh, wow.
degree
Speaking
weather?"
of the wife. Okay, so, dear, just because you chose to not join us in one of the greatest moments of Sounderdom and be
Greatest.
jackets off,
It was one of the greatest.
doesn't mean that you get to throw jackets on shade. Dear, thank you.
Damn.
I'm going to regret that when I get home.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. I was gonna say, do you need somewhere to sleep tonight? Or?
I'll leave
Do you guys know a
'cause I love you.
locksmith? Because Nate might need one.
All right, Dave has a question over here.
Dave?
I've got two. The first one is, which sounder would you like to get a one-on-one interview with?
Ever or current?
Ooh, good. Yes, both.
EJ.
We did that, you know.
Well, but he didn't ask
in
what
great
you would
company.
like. Ask
You're
what
in
I
great
would
company.
like.
Yeah.
Honestly, one of my favorite moments of Sounderdom is that video.
Like, do you want to like for real?
No.
No. For like real?
No, that video of EJ and Clint at the barbecue restaurant is my everything.
Yes.
I would love to sit down with EJ over barbecue
man.
and just like chop it up. As far as current goes, God.
I mean, you can name the guy that's a trialist right now if you want.
And I know Zach. Like I know Zach this way. Also Mauro Rosales. Like first of all, Mauro's Spanish is slow enough. When he's talking, I understand him. Right. Like he speaks at a clip about this fast, and I understand when he speaks. Yeah, those two. And maybe that means I'm just in love with the 2012 team. But like, EJ and Mauro.
All right, hold
It's
on.
the hair.
I know Dave has another question before he asks his second question.
Okay.
Jake would like to know, will you be my best friend?
Is this Jake Clausen?
No, this is Jake from DM.
Oh, okay, yeah. No.
Unfortunately,
Socks and sandals just killed it.
No.
no, I'm not going to do it.
So
Jake.
This is my grad school roommate who I introduced to
Oh, you
his
guys
wife
were-
to. We go back to like 04.
I will tell you this, though. Jake's a good dude. Not the same best friend, but
Sure.
Jake's a good dude.
He can work in the rotation.
Oh, the 18s, the 18s, the 18s.
All right, Dave.
I'm gonna leave. I'm uncomfortable right now.
What's your question, Dave?
I'm going to bid to add this one to the SonarFeed list,
Okay.
basically because I'm a nerd and
You know
I'm on the
people.
show often enough. What's your favorite D&D character? I know you know what it is.
I know
You can't
what-
pretend not to.
What's the one from Stranger Things? The
Demogorgon, the evil?
Yeah, the
wizard?
Demogorgon.
Or the wizard.
It's episode 1.
He didn't.
Yeah.
He didn't really watch it.
The
It's
Demogorgon.
okay.
Yeah.
The Demogorgon.
Yeah.
Okay.
For sure. It's funny. Like I played D&D like once in high school, and I was like,
Everybody plays once.
I was like, let's play spades next time.
13?
What was that?
13? You ever play 13?
No.
Okay. It's like kind of like spades.
Favorite documentary.
Okay. So
I'm gonna ask two. I'm gonna ask
Sure.
two ways. Favorite documentary. Favorite sports site / soccer.
okay.
Documentary.
Dang. So favorite documentary is probably The Power of Nightmares by Adam Curtis. So Adam Curtis is a producer for the BBC who makes these kind of like long-form documentaries. And what he did basically was look at American neoconservatives and like religious fundamentalists and then jihadis and like how much those Venn diagrams overlap.
What was that called again?
The Power of Nightmares.
Got it.
Oh Jesus.
And like
Yeah.
it centers on a guy named Sayyid Qutb. And so Sayyid Qutb came to the United States for a couple of years and like lived here and then went back and started the Muslim Brotherhood. And like when you watch it, you just realize how much overlap there is between like our fundamentalists and their fundamentalists. And it's a really, really strong documentary.
Dude, that's pretty serious. 8.9 on IMDb. Who's jaded as fuck.
The Power of Nightmares.
Yeah, Power of Nightmares.
Okay.
It's one of those things like once you see it, it's kind of like once you learn about the law of supply and demand.
Yeah.
Like you can never unsee it. It's always like it's always in your head.
Favorite soccer or sports documentary. Either one, soccer or sports.
So my favorite sports documentary, I guess, right now. The two Escobars. The
Yeah.
ESPN. So my
legit one.
my first trip abroad was to Colombia, and like I'm not gonna like pretend like
in life?
Yeah. Like
That's
2007.
pretty serious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so like we were in Cartagena and we were in Santa Marta, and so like I have a love affair with Colombia, which is why like when Freddie and Hurtado showed up,
Yeah.
I was the guy in ECS with the Colombian flag, right? The two Escobars is just it's fascinating because you see the intersection of sports and the criminality that was happening.
Yeah.
And we like to look at Colombia and listen, look how dysfunctional it is, but like it's not. We aren't that far away and that far removed from where they are.
Crazy.
Hope says you only eat carnitas. There are no other. By the way, I'm just catching up here.
Yeah.
Like literally, that's the only taco you eat.
No, I have carne asada from time to time.
Yeah. Have you ever tried chong?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No me gusta.
Lengua.
Pero no me gusta. Pero no me gusta.
All right,
Carne
here.
asada fries are weird, man.
Hold on, wait.
I'm not in for that.
Mark has the question.
So
And honestly, hold on, Tacoma stuff here. Memo's Mexican food, basura. Like I am okay.
That is a hot take.
So here we go. Here's the rankings.
Block away, come on.
You should
Here's
move.
the
You should move.
rankings.
La Fondita on 38th Street.
Shit, you should move. Damn.
Antojo over off McKinley. Guaymas on 72nd. They're carnitas.
Yo, I'm gonna have to go hit up.
They give you a plate of carnitas. It's like,
tour.
oh great, here's 3 meals. Awesome. And then the number one though, Hueva la Vida, the octopus.
Wait, what?
Hueva la Vida.
Oh, vuelve la vida. Vuelve
It's
la vida.
54th and Pacific Avenue by the barbershop. Like, am I lying? Oh man.
Is that the name of the
All
restaurant?
right, so
Vuelve la vida.
let's
Yeah.
do this. We're gonna do an exchange program here.
Fine.
We're gonna go to your place, and
Yes.
then we're gonna take them to
Yes.
Asadero.
Asadero Sinaloa.
Yeah.
No, oh, I know it well.
Sinaloa.
Oh,
Have you been there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No question.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
It's
question.
Dumb.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's like,
So
yeah,
good.
yeah,
Yeah.
So
okay.
It's the
All right.
Zippies of Mexican food, basically.
Just go with it.
Go with it.
Wait, you don't know Zippies?
No, I don't.
Leave here right now
Yeah.
and go to
I
Zippies.
really don't know Zippies.
Like it's a
You're
burger
fine.
joint in White Center.
Yeah. It's
Change
good.
your
What?
whole
Yeah, dude.
life.
Yeah,
live
it's
that
right
here.
across where I get my carne asada and my tacos,
Yeah.
dude. Right across there. Do you know that Bartels? Right behind there.
No,
Right
Zippy's
behind
is
the
church.
Bartels.
like the place I go buy my meat
yeah,
now.
right behind the
Zippies
Bartels.
is church
Yeah,
for real.
yeah.
Like it's
For real?
for, no, like for
Like my
real.
daughter who
Burgers.
only eats like that.
Those
meat now?
burgers are the best.
The
burgers,
greatest
man.
burger of your
I
adult
Before I
life.
forget, morning ritual. What the first 60 minutes of your day look like? Because I like to find out how people that are like high achieving or
So let's
good
be
at what they
honest.
do.
Let's be honest. Wake up.
Right. What do you
Look
do?
at Twitter.
Look at Twitter.
Okay.
Take a long morning. Take a long morning constitutional. If you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I feel you.
Okay.
Look at Twitter.
Look at Twitter again.
Wait a minute. Is that when Hugo tweets us? You mean? Or texts us?
Yeah. A shocking number of people you know take Twitter dumps. I basically
do
can
that?
get out of.
You know he does.
I can basically get out of the building, like out of the house in 40 minutes. And so get to school. I take the long route, extra steps in, sit at the computer, never open Outlook before you start working, and get my slides nailed down. I have found, by the way, just
Never
life,
look at Outlook before you start working.
life hack. The days where I forget to open my email are the best days at work. Never, if you can avoid it, just open an Outlook. It's just, oh, look, here's all the stuff I don't care
I
about.
remember that one.
Someone's
That's a
like,
good one.
the orangutans are loose and they're running everywhere.
right,
Let's
we're gonna
save
do
them.
this.
And you're like, or I'll just do my job.
It's not. It's 9.
That's so tight. That's so tight.
It's 9:48
Is it really?
Are you serious?
for real. So
Okay.
we're gonna do this.
Dude.
Hashtag 2-hour episode?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, here's
2.5 hours.
Here's a
Because
fact. Every
karaoke-
time I'm on a podcast, it's their longest episode. It's my own
Yeah,
fault.
go with
Yeah.
it. No, that's the question. Right now.
Karaoke is
Go
gonna
to.
start soon.
What's
Okay.
your go-to?
We're gonna let them start in about like 9 minutes ish.
Yeah.
Go to karaoke song.
Sweet Dreams. Sorry.
Damn!
The Marilyn Manson version.
Yo! Let's cue up "Sweet Dreams," please.
not
but,
gonna
oh my
happen.
god! Not tonight.
Or different crowd, Wonderwall.
That's on my list.
Wait.
Well done.
We're-
Don't
mess-
difference what I
so
mean.
I fundamentally don't mess with Stevie Wonder. Nobody do Stevie. Nobody do Curtis Mayfield. They're the greatest musicians, but
Yeah.
like you should never do them karaoke.
We're gonna have you back in the summer when you're off work, and
All right.
we're gonna make sure that you're taken care of that night, and
All right.
then you're gonna sing with us that night,
Twisted my arm.
and we will guarantee you're over. Pink Floyd.
I have done.
Wait.
I have done "Wish You Were Here" karaoke before too. Yeah.
Wow. That's like my favorite all-time
Hey.
song. So okay, you had a question.
All right. So
Let's go around the horn and be done. Because Nate's like, stop talking
do
to me.
do we
Actually-
get to,
classes.
do we
I
get
have
to
a,
give
I have a
plus and
2-hour
minus?
delay, so like I'm chilling.
Nate's like, buy me more drinks.
Do we get to give plus and minus points?
He's not driving home, so it's okay.
Just ask your question.
What's your question, Mark?
So Nate, as ECS members, we have so invented a Thursday night theme once a month, and this will play well into your backyard of Tube Meet Thursday at the Red Hot.
Oh, I'm listening. Yes.
Did you see the perk up?
Yeah. I'm like, I'm listening. Yeah. Yeah.
So we're gonna we started it last month.
I'm like, we're in.
We're gonna do a once a month
Yes.
road trip down.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah. Done.
trip.
By the way,
Walk 5
by the way,
Oh yeah,
just-
he says.
by the way,
he's all
no
about the
question
road
there.
trip. It takes
No
him
question
5
there.
minutes.
There was no question there. But
You're gonna join next time, Aaron, right? And Hugo.
I will have the. I'll have the Strangler for sure.
I'll do the Sonora.
Aaron,
I'm sure they have
we're,
one. I don't even
we're
know,
not
but I'm
gonna
sure.
pay you.
If they don't know what that is,
Just make it
it's- Yeah, I will.
Yeah, I will drive you down there. No problem.
2350.
The last one they had, south of the border.
Yeah.
All right. Does
Mole pork.
They're
and
just
sausage.
yelling about meat over there at
Yeah,
this
they
point
are.
now.
do you play spades?
Yeah.
Sorry, spades.
I love playing spades.
You do.
But I can't play with folks who I can't play with Steven, by the way.
Not Steven.
He
but
loves
Grandma
playing
wants to
spades, but he's
play.
really not.
Sounders. Grandma
What about
wants to
Grandma?
play.
Is grandma good?
I don't know.
Ooh,
I
think
mean,
she might
probably.
be.
Because like playing spades people who aren't good is frustrating. You're like,
No,
She's lived
What
in
do you-
Boston.
I want to play spades with you.
I want to watch you play first. Like I'm pretty discerning here.
Have you ever played horse collar?
The hell is horse collar?
Okay. All right. We're
Just
gonna play
let it go.
spades.
All right.
We're gonna play
It's the
spades.
Dallas Cowboys.
No, it's
tackling.
an old. It's an old Michigan Railroad game.
Okay.
That is an offshoot of spades.
I'll try anything
So
once.
it's racist
except for
as
heroin.
fuck.
It's my hey. Just because my family was doesn't mean I am.
That went right through there, by the way.
Pretty much.
Right? Is that how that works? I'm not sure how that works.
I'll try
but-
anything once, except heroin. 'Cause I'm scared of needles.
Do you have any ask or request of our friends, audience, Twitter family?
Like, do you want people to do something?
Yeah.
Seriously.
Check something out that you do, a website.
You
that
can
you're
ask
with.
'cause it'll happen.
Yeah, we didn't ask you about Teachers United. Like maybe
I'll come back for the TU
All right,
conversation.
sounds good.
I would just say, get involved in local politics, and particularly around advocating for schools. And if you belong to a professional association, like if you're a realtor or a lawyer or a builder, and traditionally your organization is anti-tax, like be involved in this session because like this is a once in a generation kind of renegotiation of like what school funding looks like. And there are certain populations in our state that are going to be fine because like their families have means. I'm talking to you, east side of 405. But there's a whole lot of populations like in Central Washington, like Toppenish, who like desperately need state funding and it's not there. And so like be focused this legislative session because like the stakes are really high for our kids.
Yeah.
what was your question, Tom, or no?
I have like 50 questions.
I know. Me too.
My favorite capo? Not Derek.
Do you want to talk about the first time we met? No.
No,
let's not do that.
I don't want to
There
tell the
was actually
story
a time
about
Nate
when
and I had met before.
Yeah.
We had met before. I was trashed. And I walk up to Nate and Tim Blakely in the section, and it was the week after San Jose away,
Yeah.
2 years ago. And I walk over and I said something, and we're talking about San Jose, and Nate goes, I was rooting for you guys down there. And I looked at him and I was like, am I pissed off right now? In my head, I'm like, you were rooting for me. San Jose sucks. Fuck those people. What's your problem? And I didn't know if I was supposed to be angry at Nate or what. And then I was like, I should walk away because I'm probably really drunk.
Well, no, so he missed this part. He was playing Jenga at the pregame, and we had side bets going against him playing Jenga.
Brendan Vaughn and I were playing Jenga on Periscope.
I snorted again. That's very
fine.
But
awesome.
giant Jenga.
Yeah.
And then the best part was we're at a bar. Like, nothing else needs to happen in this discussion except we're at this bar, Jack's.
Yep.
Right? And we're drinking whatever.
I was playing cornhole about 20 feet away.
And then Brendan goes inside, and we were joking about doing shots. And somebody goes, well, let's get 151. And I went inside, and there's a full bar. Like a wall
151
full
is
of
never
bar.
the answer, by the way.
Ever.
There's a full
Unless
bar.
unless it's a
And
floater.
no. Just wait.
On fire.
And I was like, guys, there's no 151. 20 minutes go by, and then Brendan comes out with 151, which we then found out was in the speed rack at this bar. Which, if you understand drinking and bars, 151 proof rum was in the rack where they grabbed the most frequently
To be
poured
clear,
alcohol.
Brendan Vaughn sometimes is a bad idea engine, and he's like, generate bad ideas, generate bad ideas, generate bad ideas.
I was in Puerto Vallarta. I was there.
I love him, but like,
Yes.
That was actually
Eres
the
el
night
mero mero,
when
Brendan.
Brendan
Eres el mero mero.
and other people made the largest outdoor bar in North America legendary status.
That's also when Roman Torres blew his knee out, correct?
Yes,
Yeah.
that night.
Yeah.
We were all. In fact, I can tell you where I was. Do you see where that railing is over there?
Yeah.
And you see where those tears are still staying on that? Yeah, we're like 2 minutes away from being done. I know you're not. I know you're not worried. But like, yeah. That's where my tears are still from that moment when he.
So whether or not Nate knows that I remembered that point, I was fully conscious of the fact that I was like, wow, I was just totally a douche.
No, you're
to
fine.
Nate in
You're
the section.
Totally
I should
fine.
leave.
You're totally fine.
Now.
By the way, I'm moving out of the section. But no. No, I actually I am. No.
Yeah, that wasn't for that reason though.
No.
That was for LA.
We'll talk about
Next
LA
time.
next time.
you visit us, we're
next
gonna talk
time.
about LA.
I just have to say, just like no BS, absolute pleasure. Like good folks, good times, good talks, good
Yeah,
issues,
for real.
good drink, good pizza.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
I don't care if I'm the guest next time, but I'm gonna come back and
Please.
just be a part of this.
Yeah, man.
We
Yeah,
want
love
you
that.
back because there's a lot we didn't talk about tonight. I fangirled a little bit, but I want to fangirl more.
Dude, you're fine.
Because
Can we
I'm good.
Skype you in from home and we'll give you like this little window?
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
And you could just be like,
I actually
guys.
have this exact camera at home.
So yeah, so we can do that.
Okay.
But
Nate's just in the corner and he's like, no.
No, but
Nate's
honestly,
hot takes.
like over
Yeah.
the last year, I've done like a lot of interviews and conversations, whatever. But like, there's nothing better than talking. Okay, the magical part about the internet is like the internet allows you to fall in love with people and not meet them, right? Like I've followed,
Which is good and bad.
right? But
Yeah.
I've followed almost every this table on Twitter for
Yep.
at least a year,
Yep.
and like these are all people who I care about, respect, and care about what they think about things. And so to sit here and chop it up for 2 hours has been fabulous.
well, thank you. And
Amen, man. Yeah. LFG.
I want to end on
LFG.
I want to learn. I want to educate.
Yeah.
I want to provide my kids.
Yeah.
My wife's watching, or she was watching earlier,
Sure.
and my
She
kids.
just-
Mine too,
she
apparently.
just logged out.
Yeah, but I want my wife and my kids and everybody in my family, and you guys are all part of our family.
Yeah.
And hashtag Aaron out is fine. That's
Right.
fine. Yeah, Aaron out. I'm totally cool with that. I don't care about me. I want the rest of everybody else in my circle,
Sure.
of however small or big that is, to be exposed to folks that are smarter than me.
Yeah.
The way you are a better leader is that you surround yourself with people that are smarter than you,
I-
and that you educate others.
Well, but the thing is like, my strongest skill is that I listen to people who are smarter than me too. Right. Like my dad
Who's
always said.
smarter than Nate.
A lot of people are. My wife. A lot of people always said to me like, if you're the smartest person in your friend group, then like you're the wrong
doing something
friends,
wrong, yeah.
right?
Right.
And so I just try to surround myself with people who are smarter than me, and I try to just shut up and soak up the wisdom, and then like I try to take that wisdom and pass it on.
But how do I shut up though? Because I'm not the smartest guy in my group, and by far, I surround myself by people smarter. But I can't shut up too. I mean, I do. I know. Actually, I do once in a while. Thanks, Mark. But I do once
No,
in a while.
it's no.
But
But
it's
okay. I talked a minute ago. Well, actually, like an hour ago. How I was at a forum this weekend for the League of Women Voters about civility.
Yeah.
And so I sat down there like, what do you think? And I'm like, I'm sitting at a table with 9 women, and I already had the microphone for an hour. Like, I'm not going to say a word. I want to listen to you all.
Yeah.
And like sometimes you just have to just say, you know, I'm not going to talk. I'm just going to listen.
Yeah, I can't. I echo that enough. Is like the cheesiest way to say this. Like I had a boss, like the boss of my boss's boss, in 2000, who was the guy sitting in his corner office, literally with his feet up on the table, and a bunch of us stayed in the office one night and were drinking beers at our desk in 2000 or whatever it was, and he literally said, "Hire people smarter than you."
Yep.
And it wasn't like an hour. He made one statement,
Yeah.
and we all were like, I don't understand what you mean. And to this day, I'm like, holy shit, I'm hiring this person. Pay them whatever they want.
Yeah.
Because it's like you need to expose yourself to different things, smarter people,
Right.
whatever those things are.
Whenever I walk by my principal's office, I walk out with a book. Like that's just how it is. And everybody does. Like you walk into Pat's office and you get a book, and like he.
Do you ask or does he just give
That's
them to
not
you?
how- no.
It just
He's-
happens.
It just happens.
So I work at a school.
he gave Steve a book.
No, shit. I work at a school that's 80% students in poverty,
Yeah.
or low-income students, 80% students of color. Over 83% of our students graduate on time. Over 40% are taking AP classes. And like the idea that you're going to college or vocational school or whatever afterwards isn't like the exception, like it's an expectation. But like that happens because the leader in that building cultivates that.
Well said.
We're done.
We're gonna end on that.
All right.
Nate. You,
Yeah.
you, and everybody who educates America, educates the world.
Front lines.
Educates
Front
anybody
lines.
who is a human, humanity.
Thank you, man.
That's what matters.
Thank you.
And thank you for that.
Obligatory. Follow me on Twitter at Nate_bowling, and also I blog at NateBowling.com. Boom.
Thank you, Nate.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
You'll be back.
Yep.
Thanks, Nate.
Let's go.
Appreciate it.
LFG.
Hey, you know what? You know what? Renton.
Yeah.
We're ahead of the curve.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, are we clear?